Chapter 5:14. In the next 2 days, Liang Muse did not show up at school. Mu Qiqi could finally heave a sigh of relief. She was not afraid of anything else. She was just afraid of trouble. The two brothers of the Liang family did not look like normal people no matter how she looked at them. No wonder they were called the mysterious family. It would be best if she did not have to see them. We were supposed to return tomorrow, but the professor asked us to go back to Jianchuan first. Let's say goodbye to the team first, Feng Shanshan said to Mu Qiqi. Feng Shanshan said to Mu Qiqi. She could tell that Mu Qiqi did not like interacting with the people in the group. You don't like any rich husband? Let's go. It's more important to go back and investigate the case. Mu Qiqi nodded. Then, she packed her luggage with Feng Shanshan. Someone in the same team could not help but say sarcastically, in the end, she is the one that the professor likes. She is different from us ordinary students. Didn't Feng Shanshan hate Mu Qiqi before? Now you know how to suck up to her. Before Mu Qiqi got into the car, she heard this and said to the person, which eye of yours saw her suck up to me? We are still enemies. Mrs. CEO is so great. You are so loyal to the crown prince. Don't seduce the second young master of the Liang family. The incident where Liang Muse stared at Mu Qiqi for the whole morning had certainly spread like wildfire. Hearing this, Mu Qiqi did not say anything. She suddenly felt that it was unnecessary. This kind of thing would only make things worse. Moreover, who were these people to her? Why should she rush to explain? The car is here. Let's go. The professor is very anxious. They are not busy, but we are, Feng Shanshan said to Mu Qiqi. You're right. Then, Mu Qiqi and Feng Shanshan got into the car. After closing the door, Mu Qiqi realized that the person who came to pick her up was Su Che. When did you come? Madam, I haven't left yet, Su Che replied. The CEO asked me to pay attention to your safety at all times. Actually, he was afraid that the Liang brothers would come to harass him. What case is it this time? Why is the professor so anxious? A female corpse was fished out of a dry well on the outskirts of the city. There was a 10-month-old baby lying beside her. It was a mother and son. The professor found that the cause of death of the mother and son was controversial, so he requested an autopsy. However, the awkward part was that this woman was the daughter-in-law of a wealthy family in Jianchuan, but 2 years ago, she ran away from home and her whereabouts were unknown. The wealthy family felt that there was no need to waste their energy on such a woman, so they did not agree to the autopsy and wanted to close the case as an accident. Feng Shanshan briefly explained what had happened. Tell me first, which rich family is it? To be related to the Gu family, I really want to say that enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. According to seniority, that person is Gu Xiling's uncle, so the professor wants to see if you can help. According to the law, if a criminal investigator has an objection to the cause of death of the deceased, then he doesn't need the consent of the family. Rich families can just exert pressure on them. A small criminal investigation team can't do anything. Who asked the rich to do whatever they want? Feng Shanshan raised an eyebrow. Mu Qiqi rolled her eyes. She too felt that it was a hot potato, and she did not want to take it. Business is business, the higher-ups are scared. What position do I have to convince that family? Mu Qiqi felt that she might not be able to help even if she wanted to. Let's go take a look at the corpse first. Mu Qiqi nodded and called Xing Xiao, saying that she would go to the forensics lab first. Xing Xiao had heard about it from Mu Qiqi 2 days ago, and did not say much about it. The matter of the Liang brothers should be over. In the evening, both of them entered the forensics lab, looking travel-worn. When they saw the professor leaning over the sink helplessly, they quickly went up to him and asked, "Professor, how's the case? Go take a look for yourselves." The professor pointed at the corpse beside him. Mu Qiqi's courage had taken a qualitative leap after seeing the baby in the man's womb. She was starting to become numb to any scene she saw. Mu Chi-chi's courage had increased by leaps and bounds. They changed their clothes and went to the corpse. It was a ghastly sight just to look at the corpse's surface. There are slashes all over the body. His eyes are gone, and his fingernails have been plucked, and there are rocks stuffed down there. Mu Chi-chi told Feng Shanshan after examining the corpse. What's more frightening is that these injuries are not fatal. That's why the professor wants to do an autopsy. The baby was simply killed by a fall. But for such a young child to fall down a 10-meter dry well, Feng Shanshan did not continue, but Mu Chi-chi could imagine the scene. Even so, the family still insists it was an accident. You know how much it would affect the rich families if the secret of a rich family is exposed, Mu Chi-chi explained to Feng Shanshan. Mu Chi-chi explained to Feng Shanshan. Some families can face the law head-on, but most rich people are confused about human life and the law, let alone have a sense of justice. Chi-chi, do you have a solution? The professor wanted to persuade the family to do an autopsy through Mu Chi-chi. The victim has been missing for 2 years. Did the other party file for divorce? If it's a divorce case, the family's consent would not be needed, and things would be much easier. Professor, it's not that I don't want to help, but I have nothing to do with the Xing family anymore. Moreover, I have a grudge with the Gu family. My help might not be as effective as the other police. The professor nodded. You're right. Then let the young masters check the relationship between the victim and her husband. Professor, what about the lover? So far, we haven't found any valuable clues at the woman's place. Mu Chi-chi nodded, and looked at the miserable mother and son. Such a way of death was most likely revenge. Moreover, when the police went to the family for questioning, they did not cooperate. They were afraid of getting into trouble, and wanted to protect themselves. The woman who had been missing for 2 years suddenly died tragically. It must be bad luck for the family. There was no telling how dirty Gu Xiling would feel when she heard the news. Mu Chi-chi only returned home at 10 at night. There were still some thoughts in her mind when she saw her man. Xiao Xiao, the case this time is related to the Gu family. Should I congratulate you? Xing Xiao smiled, stroking her head. When I was on my way back, I thought about it. I can't help much this time, because we are like fire and water with the Gu family. But when I saw the mother and son die tragically, and I couldn't find the murderer, I felt that I shouldn't. Chapter 5:15. Xing Xiao hugged Mu Chi-chi with one hand and drank his tea. His posture was very elegant. It's not difficult. If the family doesn't cooperate, you can publicize the murder case and let the family be under the public supervision. But the murderer will be alert if the case is publicized. Public opinion is a double-edged sword. It depends on how you use it. At least, it was more reliable than asking her to persuade the Gu family. Mu Chi-chi thought that she could mention it to the professor tomorrow. What bad luck did the Gu family have? Papa Gu's condition should not be good now. And now something like this happened. Mu Chi-chi was a medical student. She naturally knew that when a person had schizophrenia, it was almost impossible to be cured in this life. He had to take medicine to control it for the rest of his life. And it could relapse at any time. Although Gu Xiling did not dare to say anything and even pushed Papa Gu to the public, one day, this mother and daughter would suffer the consequences of their own actions. No matter what bad luck they have, it has nothing to do with you. Go and take a bath. You stink. Mu Chi-chi nodded and left Xing Xiao's arms. Speaking of which, this man really did not mind the smell on her body. Sometimes, even she hated it. But this man kissed and hugged her whenever he wanted. Now, it was up to the police to find out if the deceased was related to the Gu family. It was impossible that Gu Xiling did not know what happened in the family. But she was in the Xing family. Of course, she had to pretend to be calm. If such a scandal was exposed, the Gu family would definitely become a laughingstock to the public. She did not know how unlucky her uncle was to have such a frivolous woman and die outside. More importantly, Mama Gu called her during the day and told her that Mu Chichi was the assistant of the forensic doctor in the forensics laboratory. The Gu family tried everything to suppress the news. But with Mu Chichi around, the Gu family might not be able to hide anything. How did that bitch have the energy to meddle in other people's business? To get the support of the Sheng family, Gu Xiling told Grandpa Sheng about the incident at the dining table the next morning. My uncle almost committed suicide because his wife ran away. Now that his life is getting better, the woman died outside, and the forensic doctor is still chasing after my uncle. Second sister-in-law, it's a matter of life and death. The job of a forensic doctor is to question the cause of death of the deceased and distinguish between suicide and homicide. Your uncle has a close relationship with the deceased, so of course the police will keep pestering him. The Gu family should cooperate with the investigation to keep up with the development of the situation, right? Hu Ran sneered and caught the sarcasm in Gu Xiling's words. If it wasn't your Hu clan that encountered such a thing, of course you wouldn't be worried. I was a fool for 2 years, but didn't my father also get the respect of others? Hu Ran asked Gu Xiling in return. Moreover, with the series of actions of the Gu family, such as suppression, lying, and non-cooperation, if the matter is really exposed, what can the Gu family say? It's not really the Gu family. It's still your maiden family. It's not our place to make a decision on the Gu family's matters. Grandpa Sheng did not want to hear them quarrel. But the most hateful thing is that Mu Chichi is also involved in it. She is now working in this forensics laboratory. This was the reason why Gu Xiling told him about it. Because Mu Chichi was involved in it. Then the Gu family should be more careful, Hu Ran reminded Gu Xiling out of kindness. Gu Xiling spent the whole morning talking to win the support of the Gu family. But she did not realize that no one in the family cared about her at all. After breakfast, Grandpa Sheng said to her, no matter what, if the Gu family needs help, you can look for second brother. How could she look for Sheng Kai? Grandpa Sheng was obviously evading it on purpose. Grandpa, don't you think that Mu Chichi will use this matter to make a fuss and drag the Sheng family down? This matter has nothing to do with us. Don't force the hatred here. Grandpa Sheng was still clear-headed. After a night of investigation, the police found out that Gu Xiling's uncle had filed for divorce not long ago. And the court had already issued the judgment. So, this matter was not really related to Gu Xiling's uncle. At least, the forensic doctor did not need to care about the Gu family's opinion when he wanted to perform an autopsy. Other than the divorce agreement, we also found out something else. The deceased's ex-husband is a scumbag. He is a playboy who often appears in rich families. He is a spendthrift. Because he is in debt and could not get the support of his family, he pushed his pregnant wife out to pay off the debt. The deceased had a miscarriage because of this. She cried all day at home. But this scumbag could not stay still and started to look for mistresses. So, he forced his wife out. This kind of scumbag. What a waste of air when alive and a waste of land when dead. Since it has nothing to do with the Gu family, what about the deceased's relatives? The professor asked the investigator. She had a mother who was also from a scholarly family. But after the deceased ran away from home, she was often bullied by the Gu family. In the end, she died of depression. In other words, we can arrange for an autopsy. The professor grasped the most crucial point. He said to Mu Chichi and Shan Shanshan, go and prepare now. But, the higher-ups have not approved it yet. We are following the rules. Don't be afraid of anyone. Having said that, the professor followed Mu Chichi and Feng Shanshan into the forensics lab. With one cut, the organs on the deceased's body revealed all the secrets. She does not have a spleen. She must have suffered from a related disease or a serious internal injury. She had no choice but to remove it. Her immunity and resistance are very low. Let's see what's in her stomach. The professor broke it down. Mu Chichi and Feng Shanshan were shocked. Nails. She must have died from the pain. So cruel. Her body is full of holes. But the real cause of death should be here. Peritonitis caused by the rupture of the stomach. I need to do further tests. Mu Qiqi and Feng Shanshan gasped. They had seen many cases with the professor, but it was the first time they saw such a complicated and cruel way of killing. It meant that it was most likely a vendetta. The Gu family should get the news soon. Qiqi, go and hold them off. The professor instructed Mu Qiqi. Don't worry. As long as the procedure is followed, I have a way to make them speechless. Mu Qiqi promised the professor. Not to mention the Gu family, even if Gu Xiling came, it would be the same. Chapter 5:16. The Gu family did not get the news about the autopsy immediately. Instead, the police made some progress. After their investigation, they found out that Gu Xiling's uncle had met the victim recently. With this development, the police immediately summoned Gu Xiling's uncle for questioning. However, this man was like a rogue. He did not listen to the police at all. Not only that, the Gu family also refused all interviews. This family is so troublesome. The professor said impatiently. Now that this scumbag is a suspect, how can he be so arrogant? Feng Shanshan was also puzzled. Even if he is a suspect, the police cannot force him to cooperate. After all, he has his own legal rights, Mu Qiqi explained. Mu Qiqi explained. But since this family is so contemptuous of human lives, I think we can also use some tricks. Recently, the Gu family is in a precarious situation. If they don't cooperate with the police investigation, then this matter can only be made public. The Gu family is very prideful, so they will definitely agree. Are you sure this will work? Definitely. But we can't threaten them so directly. We have to show that the police are helpless. Feng Shanshan nodded and looked at the professor. What do you think? I will try with the captain. Then, the professor got up and went to the police officer's office. After a while, he came back. They have already done it. This method was definitely feasible. After all, the Gu family had to care about their reputation. For the sake of the big picture, Mama Gu had to hand over her brother. After all, she could not drag the whole family down because of her troublemaking brother. But she could not ignore her brother. So, she called Gu Xiling and asked her to handle the matter of her uncle. When Gu Xiling heard that her uncle was arrested, she asked Grandpa Gu to go to the police station to get him back. Although Grandpa Gu did not want to get involved in the Gu family's affairs, he did not stop Gu Xiling. After all, he was her uncle. Gu Xiling did not go alone. She found a bodyguard. The three of them went to the police station together. At this time, the police were interrogating her uncle. Qiqi, the Gu family is here. Can you help them? A senior from the police station came to the forensics laboratory and asked Mu Qiqi. Mu Qiqi nodded and took off her white gloves. I'll be right there. I'll go too. Feng Shanshan wanted to see the duel between Gu Xiling and Mu Qiqi at the charity banquet. She had been humiliated several times in front of Gu Xiling. Now that Mu Qiqi had accepted the challenge, Gu Xiling should not be able to humiliate her, right? With that, the two of them walked to the entrance of the police station. Gu Xiling wanted to slap Mu Qiqi when she saw her. But, the policeman beside her grabbed her wrist. This is the police station. You're hitting people here. Do you want to go to jail? Gu Xiling's eyes were red. She looked at Mu Qiqi. Was it your idea? For the police to come and demand for him like this. It's only right for the police to investigate a case. Your uncle is now a suspect and has been summoned by the police. It's the most basic obligation to cooperate with the police. What are you unhappy about? Mu Qiqi raised her arms and asked Gu Xiling. What does that woman's death have to do with my uncle? That woman used to be your aunt. Don't you know what kind of person your uncle is? Squandering, gambling addicted, heartless, and unscrupulous. You once called this woman aunt. She's dead now, and her bones haven't even turned cold. Aren't you afraid that she'll hear you and come looking for you at night? Gu Xiling was stunned. Let my uncle out. The police did not arrest your uncle. They just want him to cooperate with the investigation. Mu Qiqi emphasized. Don't come here as a rich man. I have more money than you. You want to break into the police station with 2 bodyguards? The last time I saw you, I thought that you were not only vicious but also brainless. You really did not disappoint me. You want to see your uncle? Wait outside. He can leave when the investigation is over. Then, Mu Qiqi pointed at the chair at the door. Then, I can let you sit. Mu Qiqi, you're using your power to take revenge. First of all, I'm just a forensic assistant. It's not my job to summon or interrogate. Besides, your uncle has done many evil things. I didn't ask him to do it. You can't accuse me of using your power to take revenge, Mu Qiqi said calmly. Secondly, you don't have the right to be my enemy. Looking at Gu Xiling's face, Feng Shanshan felt very comfortable. She did not expect that Mu Qiqi, who was always reluctant to deal with others, was so eloquent. What was more unexpected was that Gu Xiling, who was arrogant every time they met, did not even have the ability to talk back in front of Mu Qiqi. Indeed, there was always a higher mountain. To prevent Gu Xiling from causing trouble in the police station again, Mu Qiqi sat in the hall of the police station. Gu Xiling had no choice but to wait on the chair outside. But she could not do nothing. So, she called Xing Kai. At this time, only this man could be relied on, even though he had betrayed her. Xing Kai was also very surprised to receive a call from Gu Xiling at this time. Gu Xiling explained the ins and outs of the matter over the phone. She even gave in and asked for Xing Kai's help. I'll bring the lawyer over now. Ask your uncle not to say anything before the lawyer arrives. But the interrogation has been going on for an hour, Gu Xiling said. Just wait. Having said that, Xing Kai hung up and asked his new secretary to contact the lawyer. At this time, Mu Qiqi also asked Feng Shanshan to remind the police to hurry up. Otherwise, when the lawyer arrived, there would be nothing they could do. The interrogation is almost done, Feng Shanshan replied. Feng Shanshan answered Mu Qiqi. It's true that he's a scumbag through and through. Now, we're making the final statement. Xing Kai's reaction was very fast. It only took him half an hour to come from Huangyao. He brought his lawyer and secretary with him. It was a magnificent sight. When Gu Xiling saw Xing Kai, no matter how many things he had done to her before, at least at this moment, he was willing to help. It meant that this man still had her in his heart. Kai. Where's your uncle? He hasn't come out yet. Gu Xiling pointed at Mu Qiqi with her chin, hinting at Mu Qiqi's role here. Xing Kai glanced at Gu Xiling and then walked up to Mu Qiqi. Long time no see. It's been a long time, Mu Qiqi replied. It's a great honor for our police station to be here in person, President Sheng. We're all family. Why do you have to make things difficult for your second sister-in-law? Chapter 5:17. Xing Kai was stunned. Then, he looked at Mu Qiqi with a complicated expression. But before Xing Kai could say anything else, Gu Xiling's uncle walked out of the interrogation room with the police. Uncle, are you all right? The man shook his head, but he was still scolding. You don't want to arrest the real murderer. Instead, you arrest the good citizens for questioning. That's how you do things. Gu Xiling supported the man and did not say anything. But Xing Kai stood up for his wife again. If you want to summon the Gu family in the future, contact my lawyer first. Mu Qiqi laughed after hearing that. Then, she replied, Chief Sheng, I'm afraid you don't know the seriousness of this matter. The victim died a tragic death. The murderer is extremely evil. The Gu family must cooperate with the investigation. Otherwise, when the truth is revealed, all the big families will suffer. By then, no one will be able to save your reputation. You don't have to worry about that. I thought you could share some of the burden with your second sister-in-law. I didn't expect, Chief Sheng, there's no point in pretending. Then, Mu Qiqi turned around and went back to the forensics laboratory with Feng Shanshan. Kai, you've seen how arrogant Mu Qiqi is. Xing Kai did not say anything else. He only said to Gu Xiling, we'll talk when we get back. Mu Qiqi watched them leave. Then, she asked the professor, what's the result? This scumbag denied everything. He did not admit that he saw the victim. Although the police have a witness, they can't do anything without any evidence, explained the professor. If he's covering it up like this, doesn't that prove that there's something wrong with him? He did not cooperate and brought a lot of trouble to the investigators. But it can't be helped. Without him, the police will still solve the case. Let's wait and see. If we can't get anything out of him today, it will be very difficult to summon him in the future. If the Xing family gets involved, it will be even more difficult. If the Xing family gets involved, it will be the same as bringing trouble to themselves. Xing Kai can do that, but Grandpa Xing will never make such a low-level mistake. So, don't worry. Mu Qiqi crossed her arms and answered the professor confidently. She knew better than anyone else how much Grandpa Xing valued profit. Qiqi, from the looks of it, you don't have the aura of a rich person at all. Just like the appearance of that woman just now, and then the appearance of that man later on, a lawyer, a secretary, and a bodyguard. These are all standard equipment. I don't think you've ever put on such airs before. I am different. Rich people are all the same. But, I have an interesting soul. This is the first time I've seen you and Gu Xiling at each other's throats. No. I should say that your strength is overwhelming. Gu Xiling couldn't even retort. Feng Shanshan expressed her admiration for Mu Qiqi. Of course, it was only for once. Mu Qiqi. I, you, Sheng, Sheng, Feng, Sheng. Sheng, Feng. He, Kai, Sheng, Feng. Su, Qiqi, Gu. Gu, Kai is. Feng. Sheng. Qi, Sheng. Sheng, Gu. Secondly, Gu Xiling wants her husband's help, but Grandpa Sheng will definitely let Xing Kai stay out of it. Then, the family will fight among themselves. Thirdly, Gu Xiling's tricks are a little low-level in my opinion. She is too arrogant and can't lower herself to act. Her level is not as good as who? Mu Qiqi wanted to mention Mu Tangxue, but she felt that it was unnecessary to mention her. Anyway, things are not as complicated as you think. As long as you threaten the Gu family with what I said before, they will cooperate. The professor nodded. Only then did he acknowledge Mu Qiqi's identity as a rich person. Now you sound more like it. But, it was a pity for the mother and son who died tragically. Although that scumbag of the Gu family is really a scumbag, my intuition tells me that it was not that man who did it. Feng Shanshan nodded. That man is hot-tempered. I believe he slashed people. But pulling out nails, stuffing stones under the body, or putting nails in the dead doesn't fit his character. But he must have some clues. Mu Qiqi thought about it. At night, Mu Qiqi dragged her tired body back home. She fell into Xing Zhao's arms. Although Xing Zhao smelled the scent on her body, he did not push her away. Is there any progress? Gu Xiling and the Crown Prince really came to the police station to make trouble. But, they are not as good with words as I am. So, they did not get anything. Don't worry. The Gu family is not in the mood to care about the uncle's business. After hearing this, Mu Qiqi looked up at Xing Zhao. What happened? Today, Mama Gu brought her husband to Gu Corporation for a routine meeting as usual. However, during the meeting, the shareholders got into an argument and angered Gu Corporation's chairman. He immediately went crazy and injured someone. Now, everyone in Gu Corporation knows that Gu Corporation's chairman has lost his mind. After listening to Xing Zhao's explanation, Mu Qiqi sneered. I had a feeling that something bad was going to happen to the mother and daughter. They are in the early stages of schizophrenia. It is very important to treat them in the hospital. They must take medication and take special care. But, in order to stabilize Gu Corporation, the mother and daughter let the family doctor treat them. Of course, their condition is getting worse. Gu Corporation is going to be reshuffled. Mu Qiqi did not care about this. Although she and Gu Xiling did not like each other, if Gu Xiling was really in trouble, she would not hit her when she was down. After all, Gu Xiling's methods had never been used on her. I am going to take a bath. I am so smelly. Go ahead. Xing Xiao said calmly. Hey, aren't you going to take a bath with me? I still have some documents to read. Xing Xiao replied. Mu Qiqi nodded and got up from the sofa. Then, she went back to her room. At this time, Xing Xiao took out the ring sketches that the designer gave him. He carefully picked out the ring. He wanted to go abroad with Mu Qiqi for her birthday. But, it was too late to get the wedding ring. Even so, he did not want to wear it casually. He wanted to give his little one a surprise. After that, Mu Qiqi lay in the bathtub and saw the news about Gu Corporation on her phone. Papa Gu was officially hospitalized after the media exposed him. Even if Mama Gu had 3 heads and 6 arms, she could not hide this matter anymore. Under such circumstances, how could Gu Xiling interfere with her uncle's business? She really did not believe it. Now, Gu Xiling was probably explaining to Grandpa Sheng at Sheng Mansion. In fact, she was right. When Grandpa Sheng knew that Sheng Kai brought his lawyer to help Gu Xiling in the afternoon, he immediately called him to the study. Chapter 518. Grandpa, Xiling is my wife after all. I can't just sit back and do nothing. She's the daughter-in-law of the Sheng family now. She shouldn't get involved with her maiden family. You've seen it for yourself. The Gu family is in turmoil this time. Everyone in Jianchuan knows that her father has gone mad. We don't know how the Gu family will be reshuffled next. Let's forget about what happened today. But don't do it again. Grandpa Sheng reminded Xing Kai firmly. Xing Kai knew that although Grandpa Sheng was ruthless, it was the most realistic situation now. If the Xing family tried to help, Huang Yao would have to pay a heavy price. In the living room, Gu Xiling and Hu Ran had already started arguing. You are the same as Mu Qiqi. You want the Gu family to go bankrupt, don't you? You don't respect me at all. I don't want to argue with you. But let me tell you the truth, second sister-in-law. With the current situation of the Gu family, even the servants will not respect you, let alone me. Do you think Grandpa will help you? At this time, Xing Bowen was not home yet. But because Hu Ran did not greet Gu Xiling when she came home, she vented her anger on Hu Ran. I am still your second sister-in-law and Xing Kai's wife. I can't help it if you want to comfort yourself. Having said that, Hu Ran turned around and was about to go back to her room. But Xing Kai walked out of Grandpa Xing's room and said to Hu Ran. Apologize to your second sister-in-law. Why? You are still adding insult to injury when the family is in trouble. Is that what you deserve? Xing Kai made things difficult for Hu Ran to protect Gu Xiling's position in the Xing family. Third sister-in-law, you'd better show some respect to Xiling in the future. No matter what, she is still my wife and your second sister-in-law. I won't apologize. Having said that, Hu Ran turned around and left. But Gu Xiling grabbed Hu Ran's arm and slapped her because she had Xing Kai's support. Everyone in the living room, including Xing Kai, was shocked when they heard the slap. I can't hit Mu Qiqi, but I can teach you a lesson. Hu Ran covered her face and was about to step forward when Xing Bowen, who had just entered the house, stopped her. Xiao Ran, Hu Ran turned around and looked at Xing Bowen in disbelief. She thought that Xing Bowen was going to stop her. However, Xing Bowen stepped forward and gave her 2 tight slaps on her cheeks before she could speak. This is the first time I hit a woman in my life. I dedicate it to you, second sister-in-law. Xing Bowen said coldly, when I'm not around, you two joined forces to bully Xiao Ran, right? Do you think I'm dead? Gu Ziling's eyes were red. She wanted to retaliate, but old Xing stopped her. Stop, all of you. What a scandal. The four of them did not speak again, and old Master Xing ordered them, aren't you going back to your rooms? Although Xing Bowen had helped prevent her anger, Hu Ran still pointed at Gu Ziling and said, I want to see the Gu family go bankrupt. I want to see how you can still act so arrogantly when that time comes. Just wait and see. The two couples went back to their rooms, and the two women sat on the bed angrily. Xing Bowen saw that Hu Ran's cheeks were a little swollen, so he quickly got an ice cube and passed it to Hu Ran. Stay 2 meters away from that woman from now on. Otherwise, she will hit you easily. Her father is crazy, and she might have the same genes. Don't hurt yourself just because you are angry. Thinking of the 2 slaps from third brother, Hu Ran was not that angry anymore. Is this your first time hitting a woman? Yes, said third brother. When I am mad, I don't care whether the other party is a man or a woman. I will hit her anyway. You are quite handsome. Hu Ran put her hand on her face and smiled again. Why did you come home so late today? Someone brought some people to the police station in the afternoon and left the mess to me. The meeting ended at 5:00, explained Xing Bowen. I saw you getting slapped when I entered the house. Does it still hurt? She hit my ear, Hu Ran said. Second brother went to the police station because of Uncle Gu, right? I heard that he was humiliated by Chi-Chi at the police station, so he went home to vent his anger on someone else. Third brother laughed. You don't say. Even with Gu Ziling's character, she did not gain any advantage in front of Xiao Qi. Chi-Chi will become stronger when she meets someone strong. No matter who it is, she can handle them. Third brother saw that Hu Ran's face was getting less swollen quickly, so he held her hand and said, we should try not to get involved in the current situation of the Gu family. We should just watch the show. Otherwise, I am afraid that second sister-in-law will set you up again. Okay. Hu Ran held third brother's hand back. They were about to look at each other when Hu Ran suddenly blushed. Don't sleep on the sofa tonight. I am used to it, you idiot. How can you rest well on the sofa when you go to work every day? She suddenly tugged at his shirt. Listen to me. Third brother was silent for 2 seconds. Finally, he nodded. I will listen to you. In the other room, Gu Ziling was really angry. Although Xing Kai had found an ice cube, she did not use it. Instead, she asked him calmly, Grandfather asked you to go to the study to tell you not to interfere with the Gu family's affairs, right? Grandfather's consideration is not wrong. But as your husband, I will still stand by your side and do my best to help you. Gu Ziling sneered after hearing that. How ironic. But I still have to thank you. Ziling, let it go. If the Gu family is in trouble, it will not be good for me. If we continue to fight, this family may really break up. Gu Ziling was still disgusted by the fact that he slept with the secretary. But now it was a critical moment. She had no choice. All right. Apply some medicine to your face. Take a shower and rest. We will go to the Gu family tomorrow. Gu Ziling was full of fear when she thought of the Gu family. The Gu family is in such a situation now. My uncle is being investigated by the police. Kai, can you think of a way to stop the police from pursuing the Gu family? If the matter is exposed, it will be one disaster after another for the Gu family. I will think of a way. Actually, what else could he think of? He could only go to Zhongteng and look for Xing Xiao. He hoped that he would let the Gu family go for the sake of their brotherhood. But this matter had nothing to do with Xing Xiao. Mu Qiqi was not the main person in charge of the murder case. Would it really work if Xing Kai looked for Xing Xiao? It was clear that he trusted Xing Xiao's ability to interfere in matters. although he was very unwilling to look for Xing Xiao because it would hurt his pride. Chapter 5:19. The next morning, Zhongting's secretary received a call from Huang Yao. Xing Kai wanted to meet Xing Xiao. The secretary knocked on Xing Xiao's office door and asked, "President, are you willing to meet him? If you don't want to meet the Xing family, I can decline on your behalf." Xing Xiao did not even look up. He was focused on his own matters. He naturally squeezed out 2 words from between his teeth. "I won't meet him." Xing Xiao did not even look up. He was focused on his own matters. He naturally squeezed out 2 words from between his teeth. "I won't meet him." He could not wait to go home to see his little one. He did not want to meet those irrelevant people. "I understand, President." The secretary closed the door and looked at Xing Xiao's schedule. Only then did he arrange an unimportant time for Xing Kai to meet him. Of course, if Xing Kai wanted to meet him, he would not move a single step away. If Xing Kai had something to ask, he would have to meet him himself. Huang Yao's new secretary answered Xing Kai, "Zhongting gave you a time from 1 to 2 in the afternoon. But you have a meeting at that time, President. Postpone it." To be honest, Xing Kai was really good to Gu Xiling. Now that the Gu family was in a precarious situation, he did not abandon his wife. He did not hold an important meeting just to help her solve her troublemaking uncle. But would begging Xing Xiao work? He knew very well that it was useless. But since he had asked, he had to put it into practice. Only then could he save his dignity in front of his wife. "Where is the meeting place?" "At Zhongting." Xing Kai nodded and sent his secretary away. This was good. He could also let him see how shocking and enviable Zhongting was. At 12:30 in the afternoon, Xing Kai arrived at Zhongting early. But Xing Xiao was still in a meeting. The secretary led Xing Kai into Xing Xiao's office. So this was Xing Xiao's new kingdom. It was not as luxurious as Huang Yao's office. The whole office was simple, but it was more high-tech and several times bigger. Especially when standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows, one could see the whole of Jianchuan. It was indeed a good place. After a while, the secretary opened the office door. Xing Xiao walked in. Seeing Xing Kai sitting on the sofa, he waved his hand to let the secretary out. "What's the matter?" Xing Xiao put down the documents and sat down on the sofa opposite Xing Kai. "You've become so calm." "I'm not used to it." Xing Kai looked at Xing Xiao and felt that he had really changed a lot. The once flamboyant and crazy Xing Xiao was no longer there. Instead, he was replaced by this calm and composed man. "Let's get straight to the point, Chief Sheng," said Xing Xiao. "You've heard about what happened to the Gu clan. I'm here today because of Uncle Xiling. He's involved in a murder case, and Chi won't let him go. It's not that doesn't want to let him go. It's that he's the one who has fallen into the hands of the police. Although I guessed that you would come, I thought that you would tell me something new about the murder case. It's better to listen to the police's arrangement. As long as you're willing to help, you can definitely stop the police from investigating. First of all, as a legal citizen, while enjoying my rights, I also have to fulfill my obligations. Being rich doesn't mean that I can override the law. I won't do that, and I advise you not to do that," Xing Xiao answered directly. "You are not a person who plays by the rules." "I may not play by the rules, but it doesn't mean that I don't obey the law. It's understandable that you want to help your wife. It's understandable that wants to help the mother and son who died tragically. But let me tell you clearly, I won't interfere in this matter." "I can't interfere." Xing Kai was very serious when he said this to Xing Kai. After hearing Xing Xiao's words, Xing Kai suddenly chuckled. "Eighth brother, you've changed a lot. You weren't such a compassionate person before. If you don't have anything else, I have another meeting to attend. Actually, I'm here to see how free you are now after trying so hard to escape from the Xing family. Sure enough, you're full of freedom. Have you ever regretted throwing the burden of Huang Yao to me? Why should I regret? Xing Xiao retorted. That should have been your burden. Xing Xiao laughed mockingly. I thought that after half a year, the Xing family should have improved. But I'm disappointed. You're still acting so matter-of-factly and self-centered. Whether it's the police investigating the case or the knot in your heart, does it seem like the whole world revolves around the Xing family? Let me tell you something. Soon, Tiffany and Company will be in trouble. If you still want to work with Tiffany and Company, you'll be relieved of your responsibility very soon. Because Grandpa Sheng will be completely disappointed in you. You and third brother are really in cahoots. I don't need him to know what you're doing. Xing Xiao got up from the sofa. It seems that you're not really here to ask for help. You don't have such an attitude. If you really want me to remember our relationship, you wouldn't have spoken so rudely. Should I feel sad for second sister-in-law? If I can give you something to convince Xiao Qi, will you consider it? I have everything you have. So, what do you think you can give me to make me agree? Then, why do you want to see me? Xing Kai's voice was cold. You should know why I'm here. Since you agreed to see me, didn't you give me a glimmer of hope? It's out of politeness. You want to take revenge on me for humiliating you, right? Xing Kai guessed. When you were down and out, I made things difficult for you. Actually, I want to advise you to let the Gu family cooperate with the investigation. Otherwise, once the case is exposed, the whole Gu family will be involved in a scandal. It'll be even scarier than now. Alright, I've already seen your office. I appreciate your kindness, but I really shouldn't have wasted my time here. Having said that, Xing Kai got up from the sofa. Because he thought that he could beg Xing Xiao and put in a good word for him. But when he saw that Xing Xiao was more outstanding than him, his self-esteem started to go crazy again. He clearly had something to ask of Xing Xiao. But in the end, it became a tit-for-tat between him and Xing Xiao. However, since he had put it this way, Xing Kai was not afraid of going overboard. It's fine if you don't want to do it. But if I do it, I won't hold back. If little sister-in-law is hurt, don't blame me for not warning you. You can try. Chapter 520. Xing Xiao did not tell Xiao Qi that Xing Kai had come to him. After all, the fate of the Gu family had nothing to do with her. The Xing family thought that Qi was taking the chance to make trouble for the Xing family, but only he knew that Mu Qiqi would stand up for her no matter which family she came across today. Hence, she went straight to the forensics lab after class, wanting to know the latest development of the case. Professor, have you found the biological father of the child? The professor shook his head and answered Mu Qiqi, the truth is more complicated than you think. The deceased never had a lover. After escaping from a rich family, she lived alone and worked in a restaurant. The police asked the deceased's colleagues. Her best friend told them that the deceased was forced to give birth to the child. Why would the victim seek out the biological father of the child on her own? Did she have any grudges with anyone? She has a weak personality and never makes enemies out of others. The professor explained. But from the wounds on the body, there must be a deep grudge to do such a thing. It's a pity that the deceased's ex-husband refused to cooperate with the investigation. Did you find out why the victim met that scumbag? No one knows why the deceased died so tragically after seeing her ex-husband. The answer to this mystery lies with that ex-husband. Mu Qiqi propped herself up on the edge of the bed, and could not help saying to the corpse, "Can you tell us more if you want to seek justice for yourself?" The corpse had been processed, and no extra hair or skin was found apart from the victim's own. Nails. Mu Qiqi picked up one of the nails and looked at it for a long time. Professor, these nails with two sharp ends are called splicers, right? Why? Splicers are mostly used for splicing wood. It's not common to see such things in ordinary homes. I didn't expect that a rich young lady like you would know about splicers. The professor laughed. That's right. It's a splicer. Ordinary people rarely use it. Can we use this attribute to investigate if there's anyone among the victim's acquaintances who could be related to splicers? Or we could investigate the surroundings of the Gu family. We have to find the first crime scene as soon as possible. The police are intensifying the investigation, the professor replied. After hearing this, Muchichi carefully observed the body of the baby. If the baby was killed by a fall, then the child should still be alive before his mother died. Would there be any other evidence on him? Professor, what's wrong? The professor hurriedly moved forward. The abrasion on the child's heel shouldn't have been caused by a fall, right? Based on the location of his injuries and the trajectory of his body when he was thrown into the well before he died, he should have been facing the ground and lying on his stomach. Then, the injury on his heel was not caused in the well. There is lime in the wound. The professor quickly took the tweezers and immediately collected evidence. The child must have been placed in a dirty and messy place when he was alive. Chi-Chi, you might have been a great help in finding the first crime scene. Although she did not know the truth or what had happened between the victim and that scumbag, she had a feeling that the scumbag from the Gu family had something to do with it. At night, it rained heavily again. Xingkai and Gu Xiling were on the way to the Gu family. The current situation of the Gu family was really worrying. I went to Xingshao during the day, but he was indifferent. He thought that the Gu family should cooperate with the investigation. After hearing Xingkai's words, Gu Xiling sneered. It's not him. Of course, he can say whatever he wants. For now, we can only let the lawyer stop them. There's no other way. Xingkai comforted her. I know. You've tried your best. After all, Xingshao is not an obedient person. Gu Xiling expressed her understanding. Soon, they arrived at the Gu family. At that moment, Mama Gu and Gu Xiling's uncle were sitting in the living room, anxious. Xiling, I'm really at a loss now. Your father needs someone to take charge of the situation. But your brother is only 17 now. He's at the age where he likes to play. He can't be of any help at all. There's me, Gu Xiling's uncle said. Is there anyone more suitable than me now? You'd better clear up the murder case first, Gu Xiling said coldly to her uncle. Mommy, why don't you do it? I don't have enough shares. The shareholders will not agree to let me join the board of directors. I don't have the mood to care about the company when your father is like this. You still have the cheek to say that, Xiling. I've been good to you before. This time, I'm in trouble. You should help me no matter what. After all, you don't want this matter to be spread all over the city, do you? Mom, call everyone in the family here and nominate a suitable person. There are so many people in the family. There must be someone worthy of your trust, right? Mama Gu waved her hand. I'm very tired now. I can't think about this. The Gu family is in trouble now. I really don't know what to do. If you don't mind, I can send some people from Huangyao to help. It's better than being watched by others all the time. Mama Gu glanced at Xingkai and shook her head. I appreciate your kindness. But you have a lot of things to do in Huangyao. You don't have to work so hard for the Gu family. I can still hold on for a while, but I can't take any more bad news. So, Uncle, what else happened between you and that woman? Is there any secret that we don't know? Gu Xiling asked her uncle. The man with a big round belly was unwilling to admit it at first. But he could not hide it anymore. So, he said, I met her in a restaurant some time ago. That B*TCH was living a good life. Of course I was angry, so I humiliated her. After all, that B*TCH made my life worse than death for the past 2 years. Nothing else? Later, I found her place and went there once. I found that the B*TCH had a child. What else? The man touched his head and shook it. What else? I just used force on her. But it didn't work. Then, I left her place. Is that really it? The man nodded. Otherwise, do you think I have the guts to kill someone? Chapter 521. Then you should go to the police station tomorrow to make a statement and tell the police about this. Otherwise, they will keep pestering you. It will be a ticking time bomb for the Gu family. Gu Xiling said to her uncle. We are in troubled times now. You should know the priority of the matter, right? The man took a deep breath and nodded. All right, I will listen to my niece. But you have to come with me, along with my lawyer and bodyguards. Okay. Gu Xiling replied without hesitation. After that, the two of them returned to Xing Mansion. At this time, Hu Ran and third brother were having dinner. You are back so soon. It seems that the Gu family is not as dangerous as the rumors say. Of course, you can't wait for the Gu family to go bankrupt tomorrow. But I am sorry. I am afraid that your hopes will be dashed. Gu Xiling sneered at Hu Ran. My uncle's problem can be solved tomorrow. That would be the best. The two brothers did not interrupt the quarrel between the sisters-in-law. However, when Xing Kai thought of meeting Xing Xiao during the day, he said to third brother, you and eighth brother have ulterior motives. You colluded with me and did not want me to get what I want, right? It's okay. I will definitely slap your face for the cooperation with Tiffany and company. Sheng Bowen frowned. He did not understand what third brother was talking about. Why did you drag eighth brother into this? Eighth brother told me about the cooperation with Tiffany and company. If you did not tell him, how would he know? Sheng Bowen sneered and answered the same question as Xing Xiao. In Jianchuan, there's nothing that eighth brother doesn't know. It was like that in the past, let alone now. His network is so complicated. It's really effortless for him to know such trivial things like you. I won't believe you. Whatever. Then, third brother turned to Hu Ran and asked, are you done eating? Hu Ran nodded. It's a little noisy. Let's go back to our room. One of you is suppressed by your brother at home, and the other is suppressed by your stepmother at home. Don't even think about turning over a new leaf in this life. Hearing Gu Xiling's sarcasm, Xing Bowen turned around and replied, likewise. Weren't they always suppressed by Xing Xiao and Mu Qiqi? The winter rain was damp and cold. Xing Xiao asked Su Che to drive to the forensics lab at 9 at night. By then, the police had found a lot of new clues. On the afternoon of the victim's death, she met Hua Kong. The lime powder on the child's wound was not ordinary. We checked the construction sites and factories around the place where the body was dumped. Finally, we found a place with similar lime powder. That place happened to be the seaside amusement park that the Gu family was building. We suspect that it was the primary crime scene, but we did not dare to enter without a search warrant. At this time, the police were having a meeting, and the forensic doctor was also listening. So, Hua Tsong is still a major suspect. Hua Tsong was Gu Xiling's uncle's real name. Captain, I just received a call from the Gu family. Hua Tsong agreed to come over to give a statement. Then today's meeting will end here. When we interrogate that man tomorrow, we will extract valuable clues. Mu Qiqi rarely stayed in the forensics lab until this hour. When the professor informed her that she could leave, Mu Qiqi had already fallen asleep on the chair. She attended classes in the day and came to the lab to investigate cases at night. This child really did not care about her own body. Even Feng Shanshan knew to rest, and she was still so enthusiastic. Xing Xiao waited for a while before getting out of the car and went to the police station. The people in the station knew that she was a family member, so they did not make things difficult and brought Xing Xiao directly to the forensics lab. In the lab, the professor was about to wake the child up. You came just in time. I don't know what to do with her. The professor said to Xing Xiao. Carry her back. It's so cold. She will catch a cold if she sleeps here. Xing Xiao pulled Mu Qiqi into his arms and hugged her by the waist. Even with such a big movement, she did not wake up. Chief Sheng, you must remind her to rest. If she works so hard now, won't she die of exhaustion when there are big cases in the future? Thank you, Professor. With that, Xing Xiao carried the little one back to the car and ordered Su Che, drive. Mu Qiqi did not wake up at all. She just lay quietly in Xing Xiao's arms until they reached home. When Mama Xing saw the usually lively Mu Qiqi being carried home, she quickly asked, "What's wrong, Qiqi?" "Too tired," Xing Xiao answered. "Then hurry up and take her upstairs to rest." Mama Xing waved her hand. This child seems to really like solving cases. Xing Xiao carried her into the bathroom and put Mu Qiqi in the bathtub. When the little one felt the water temperature, she slowly opened her eyes. "Aren't I in the forensics lab?" Xing Xiao had already taken off his clothes and stood in front of her. There was a mocking smile on his lips. "So, what's the use of you being there?" "My discovery led them to the scene of the first murder case," Mu Qiqi retorted. "That good?" Knowing that Xing Xiao's expression was displeased, Mu Qiqi quickly dragged him into the bathtub and touched his chest. "I won't fall asleep from exhaustion next time. I swear. Xing Kai came to me today and asked me to stop you from investigating this case." Mu Qiqi was shocked. Is he even human? Of course, since he and Gu Xiling are husband and wife, they will become more and more alike. Why would he come to you? What face does he have to come to you? I still remember how he pretended to sympathize with you when he found out that you were down and out. Why are you so agitated? Xing Xiao asked, holding her waist. The thing I hate the most about the Xing family is that in their eyes, they can rely on connections no matter what happens. It's fine if it's business before, but now it's a matter of life and death. It's fine if they don't cooperate, but they still want to disturb the police investigation? Motherf asterisk cur. And they still have the face to beg you. Hearing Mu Qiqi's nagging, Xing Xiao suddenly pinched her chin and kissed her. This person had been too talkative recently. She would chatter endlessly. Mu Qiqi was stunned. Although she was unhappy, she still responded to Xing Xiao's kiss. "Xiao Xiao, the more cases I deal with, the more I feel that people are the scariest." "Then do you want to see my scarier side?" Xing Xiao asked, hooking his arm around Mu Qiqi's neck. Mu Qiqi was stunned. Then, she shook her head. No. With that, she wanted to escape from the bathtub, but Xing Xiao pressed her against the edge of the bathtub. "You only know how to bully me because I'm not as strong as you," Mu Qiqi muttered. Chapter 522. How could I not want it? You know I can never refuse you. After saying that, Mu Qiqi simply turned around and looked into his lustful eyes. She fell deeply into them. How can I love you so much? The kiss came like crazy, and the water in the bathtub gradually cooled down. Afraid that Mu Qiqi would catch a cold, Xing Xiao scooped her out of the bathtub and carried her to the bed in the bedroom. Mu Qiqi was completely out of strength now. She could only mutter, "Xiao Xiao. I'm going to sleep. I'm going to the forensics lab tomorrow because the Gu family is coming." Xing Xiao hugged her and held her fingers. Her dissecting hands seemed to be getting thinner and thinner. In fact, he just wanted to measure the size of her ring. The next day, the weather was clear. Mu Qiqi went to the forensics lab in her husband's car. The Gu family had not arrived yet. However, the police were very efficient. Early in the morning, the captain went to the amusement park that the Gu family was building with a search warrant. But the amusement park covered a large area, and it would take some time before they could get a result. At 9:00 in the morning, Gu Xiling accompanied her uncle to the police station. When she saw Mu Qiqi, she sneered at Mu Qiqi. "If I remember correctly, you are a student. How can you say that you are not against the Gu family? It's not that I want to be here. Everyone knows that the Gu family likes to act like they are rich. That's why they let me stay here to welcome you." "Why? Don't you like it?" Mu Chichi was holding the documents. She was wearing a white coat and looked professional. She looked like an official forensic doctor. My uncle is already in there. Are you satisfied now? The Gu family is very cunning. I don't think he will tell us anything sincerely. But do you want to see your aunt's corpse? Who wants to see such a disgusting thing? Gu Xiling looked disgusted. You are so ugly now. You will be worse than a burnt corpse when you die. With that, Mu Chichi turned and went back to the forensics lab. In the interrogation room, the police were questioning Hua Kong. How many times did you see her after she went missing? Just twice. The first time was in a restaurant, where I met my wife who had been missing for 2 years. I was very angry, so I investigated her place. The second time, I went to look for her. I wanted to ask her why she went missing, but I saw that she had given birth. We argued for a while, and in the end, I left. Hua Tsong was very smart. He knew to hide the key information and didn't mention that he almost raped his wife. The policeman glanced at him and continued to ask, was it just a dispute? Of course. She's already divorced and has a child. What else can I do? In any case, I'm a reputable person. What time did you enter, and what time did you leave? When she got off work, I followed behind her. It was about 6:30 in the evening. When she came out, it was no later than 7:30, Hua Tsong replied. Then do you know when she died? How would I know? I didn't kill them. Hua Tsong snorted. Around 8:30 in the evening. There was a hint of panic on Hua Tsong's face. It has nothing to do with me. I really didn't kill her. Where did you go after you went back? Is there anyone who can prove it? Home. Hua Tsong replied. I drove my own car. There should be surveillance cameras in the neighborhood. If you don't believe me, you can go and get them. Why didn't you tell the police about this when I came to you before? I didn't kill anyone. It's my freedom to say or not, isn't it? Moreover, I really hate the way the police handle cases. The Gu family is a big business and a famous family in Jianchuan City. I don't want to tarnish the Gu family's name because of this, Hua Tsong replied. So, you're doing this for the Gu family's reputation? Of course. If the Gu family has a scandal, it will do me no good. I don't want to lose my position and wealth. The interrogating policeman glanced at him with a strange expression. I'm afraid the police can't satisfy your wish. The impact of this matter is not something that you can just explain. What do you mean? You're going back on your word? Didn't you say that you wouldn't publicize it if I came over to explain? The officer knocked on the table and looked at Hua Kong. Whether you are innocent or not, the police will naturally investigate. Hua Tsong, you are still a major suspect, because the police found the primary crime scene in the Gu family's construction site, which is also the murder scene. Hua Tsong's eyes widened when he heard this. What? Go back. The police will send a commissioner to follow you. Cooperate with the police at any time. That's your only way out. You also want to clear your name, right? Hua Tsong moved his lips, but in the end, he didn't say anything. He only cursed the bitch in his heart. Why did she bring him so much trouble even after her death? Then, Hua Tsong left the interrogation room. Gu Xiling walked up to him. Did you make it clear? Xiling, the Gu family is in big trouble. Gu Xiling was stunned. She didn't understand. What does this have to do with the Gu family? The police found the primary crime scene of the murder at the seaside amusement park. After hearing this, Gu Xiling couldn't help but take a few steps back. What did the Gu family do wrong? Why did they get into trouble because of you? Xiling. I'm innocent too. Hearing their conversation, Mu Chichi walked up to Gu Xiling and said, it was originally very simple. It's the Gu family who deliberately covered it up and made it more complicated. If you cooperated with the police earlier, you might have solved the case by now. But, the Gu family chose to suppress you. Even if you had your own concerns and didn't want to cooperate at first, now that things have come to this, if I were you, I would have publicly expressed my support and cooperation with the police. Otherwise, things will get worse than your father going crazy. Muchichi, if the Gu family publicizes this matter, it will be like adding snow to snow. The family doesn't belong to you. Of course, you won't feel bad about it. Don't make sarcastic remarks here. You just want my family to go bankrupt. Am I right? Gu Xiling replied to Muchichi coldly. It's up to you. The police will solve the case anyway. It's just a matter of time. I'm your sister-in-law. Do you like to kill me so much? In your heart, you don't want to be my sister-in-law, do you? Muchichi retorted. It's because of what happened at the charity banquet. That's why you hate me. You hate me for having designs on Xingshao. That's why you keep pestering me. You think too much. No matter how low Xiao Zhao's taste is, it won't be your turn. Then, Muchichi left the police station. She had to go back to school after the interrogation of Huakang. Chapter 523. I'll wait for you, Muchichi said calmly to Gu Xiling. No matter what, would she, Muchichi, lose to a vase? It was not logical. After that, the murder at the Gu family's amusement park attracted a lot of attention from the outside world. The news of the chairman of Gu's losing his mind had already made Gu's company on the verge of collapse. Now, the murder had made Gu's situation even worse. Huatsong was under surveillance by the police. Gu Xiling was furious. Muchichi wanted to go back to school, but the professor called her halfway. Don't you want to come to the crime scene? Aren't you and the captain at the crime scene? What we see might not be the same as what you see. Come back. I'll wait for you at the crime scene. The professor hung up. It was a great temptation to Muchichi. So, she asked the driver to turn around and go to the crime scene. It was in the basement of Gu's amusement park. There were a lot of building materials there, including the nails found in the victim's stomach. When Muchichi arrived at the crime scene, she saw the serial number on the ground. She did not touch it but squatted down to check it. There is a lot of blood on the ground. But the strange thing is that we did not find any traces of being tied or struggling on the victim's body. Why did she come here with the murderer? Professor, have you found the victim's eyes and fingernails? Muchichi asked. The professor shook his head. No. It's possible that these things are with the murderer. What do you think? There are no traces of being tied or drugged. So, it can only mean that the victim came here voluntarily. Muchichi looked at the puddles of blood on the ground and said, a single woman without complicated social connections, so how could she come to such a place? Professor, it might be a child. The murderer took away the deceased's child and informed her to come here to look for the child. The fact that the deceased's phone can't be found proves this even more. There must be secrets on the phone that we want to know. The murderer is so vicious, but he did not leave any clues at the crime scene. This shows that he is very good at anti-reconnaissance and is very meticulous. How did he move the body from the crime scene to the dumping site? The professor glanced at her and said, at that time, we had already checked the area around the dry well. No vehicle could have gone there. We also checked the footsteps, and there was nothing suspicious. However, there are many ways to get out of the construction site. Trucks, tricycles, bicycles, electric scooters. Professor, let's go somewhere. With that, Muchichi got up, and the professor followed behind her. The two of them searched for the road from the construction site to the dry well. Soon, they arrived at a fork 1 kilometer away from the construction site. Muchichi squatted at the fork and observed carefully. Then, at the end of the fork, she saw a tire mark. It's definitely not a bicycle or a 3-wheeled electric scooter that can transport a corpse because the corpse was not dismembered. Professor, look here. The professor squatted down and saw the width of the tire. I'll ask the forensics team to come over and take photos for evidence. Then, we'll check the surveillance footage. After Muchichi got up, she looked around and found that there were traces of something heavy in the haystack. There should be a huge box here, and the soil in front of the box has been refurbished. This means that the murderer had placed the corpse here before. Moreover, there's a stench coming from here. So, I'm guessing that the murderer must have placed the corpse in a box that looks like a trash can first. Then, he left the box here. Passers-by would think that it was abandoned trash and wouldn't be curious. And with the stench, passers-by would not approach it. Then, he carried the child to the dry well and threw him down. Because a baby would cry if placed in a car. But why did the murderer not kill the child first, but chose to fall to his death? And how did the murderer move the corpse? I still have no idea for now. Seeing that she was able to discover these things, the professor smiled and said, "You've seen many things that I can't see. I'm really getting old. Everything slows down. Professor, you just didn't rest well and lacked energy. Otherwise, how could these things escape your eyes? It seems that the murderer really has nothing to do with that rich man." The professor sighed. Such a meticulous arrangement. It's not a murder out of passion. I think we should also investigate the social relations of the deceased, Muchichi suggested. There are always things that are right in front of us, but we haven't discovered them yet. You're right. Now that this matter has blown up, the Gu family will definitely find trouble with you. You should be careful. Of course. If they didn't find me, I would have forgotten that I'm also a rich man. Muchichi smiled. Professor, let's continue to observe. Perhaps, there will be new discoveries. Okay. That afternoon, the news began to broadcast intensively. After the chairman of the well-known Gu group fell seriously ill, the company encountered a glacier and was involved in a murder case. And the seaside amusement park under the Gu group is the primary crime scene of the murder case. The police are working hard to solve the case. And according to the investigation, the identity of the deceased is closely related to the Gu group. Seeing this news, Gu Xiling turned off the television in the living room. But, Hu Ran turned it on again. Even if you don't want to watch it, I still want to. Did you do it on purpose? The Gu Group's seaside amusement park cost 10 billion yuan. Now, it has become the scene of a murder case. Can the Gu Group continue to operate this time? The stock price has fallen so much that I can't bear to watch it anymore. Hu Ran said to Gu Xiling while watching the news. Your uncle should be more suspicious now. Gu Xiling clenched her fists. She could not calm down. She had to face Muchichi in the day and Hu Ran at night. No one would have such energy. I don't want to quarrel with you. The Gu Group must have a terrible loss after this incident. What do you know? Hu Ran shrugged and stopped provoking Gu Xiling. What if she lost her mind like her father? However, everyone knew that the Gu Group would not be able to get through this crisis. Just as Muchichi said, Papa Gu's madness was an internal problem that could be solved. But now, it had become the scene of a murder case. Who would be willing to play in this amusement park? After a while, Grandpa Gu came home. When he saw Gu Xiling, he sighed and said to her, "Don't interfere in your family's affairs for now. Don't go home. Grandpa, this is my last kindness to you." It was also because she knew that Shinkai was infertile that Grandpa Gu was willing to give in. Gu Xiling did not refute. Obviously, she realized the seriousness of Grandpa Gu's words. Chapter 524. The case had caused a great sensation in Jianchuan. The scene of Muchichi and the professor working in the field was also shown on the news. Everyone in the Xing family saw it, including Shinkai and Xingboan who had just returned home. They had only heard that Muchichi was studying forensic science. But they had never seen her holding a scalpel. So, they could not associate Xing Zhao's beloved with this girl who ran in the wind and rain. However, when they saw her at the crime scene, they understood that she was not playing around. She was very serious. I don't know why, but Xiao-Qi looks so valiant. Hu Ran leaned on third brother's arm and whispered to him, she really looks like a forensic doctor. I believe she will have a bright future. She will be better than all of us. Seeking justice for the dead. Thinking of this, third brother smiled. Only she and Xing Xiao can live like humans. Bitch. If it wasn't for her, the case would not have been exposed so quickly. On the other side, Gu Xiling was cursing. If I have the chance, I will make her pay. Second sister-in-law, it's not that I look down on you. But in terms of ability, you have no other talents other than putting on a show at home. In terms of wealth, let alone the fact that the Gu Corporation has collapsed, even before the incident, you are no match for Zhongteng. In terms of power, she has the mayor and the chief in her family. Moreover, she is used to seeing all kinds of corpses and fighting with all kinds of criminals. Do you think you can fight in front of her? Hu Ren asked Gu Xiling with a smile. Just wait and see. Having said that, Gu Xiling went back to her room. Grandpa Xing said to Hu Ran, Xiao Ran, I know you have been wronged in the past. But she is still your second sister-in-law. You should know when to stop. Grandpa, it is obvious that second sister-in-law did not know what was good for her. She insisted on fighting with Mu Qiqi. That is why things have gotten out of hand. Not to mention your second sister-in-law, even I have never thought that this little girl could really endure the disgusting corpses and become a forensic doctor. What else? He had always thought that Mu Qiqi was just playing around. Was she fighting with him? She was too self-righteous. On the other hand, Lu Qianqian and the others saw Xiao-Qi's figure on TV too. That night, they told Mama Lu, Mommy, Xiao-Qi is on TV. I should work hard too. Qiqi is really something. I used to think that since she was a couple with the crown prince of the Xing family, the crown prince would never let her do such a job. But I didn't expect that not only did she do it, she did it very well. Wrong. Xing Xiao is no longer the crown prince of Huangyao. Lu Qianqian corrected her. You are doing well too. You have been handling the company's matters well. A few big cases had been approved by the shareholders. You have also exceeded my expectations. If only your father could see it with his own eyes. Seeing that her mother's eyes were red, Lu Qianqian quickly comforted her. All right, don't cry. Why are you bringing it up again? I just want the Lin family to see your outstanding side. My daughter is definitely worthy of old Lin's grandson. Lu Qianqian smiled and comforted Mama Lu. Just eat. It will happen sooner or later. Don't worry. The younger uncles of the Lu family had ulterior motives. But with Lu Qianqian under heavy protection, they could not do anything. Previously, when there were no bodyguards around, they could still release a snake or do some other tricks. But now, Lu Qianqian was protected by a female bodyguard and a male bodyguard. Now, it would be harder for them to find a chance to do anything. Moreover, Lu Qianqian was a smart girl when it came to business. She had restarted the case that Papa Lu had put aside, so that Lu Holdings would not suffer any losses. That was why the board of directors approved of Lu Qianqian. After all, her training as a successor wasn't for nothing. The people of Lu Holdings had thought that she could not even understand the reports. But in the end, they realized that she could not only understand the reports, but also find the loopholes in them. They believed that soon, Lu Holdings would be back on track. All the suffering seemed to be over. But the matter of the Lin family was still a knot in her heart. She wanted to do something. She wanted to. But dripping water could wear a stone. In the evening, Mu Qiqi dragged her tired body home. She had run too many places today. Her body was at its limit. When Mama Xing saw her, she quickly went to help her. Mommy, you don't have to. I smell, even eighth brother can stand it. Why can't I? You are underestimating Mommy. Mama Xing smiled and said, go upstairs to take a shower and change your clothes. Fifth aunt made your favorite dish. You must be hungry. Okay. Xing Xiao had not returned home yet. He had a dinner with Secretary He. Mu Qiqi went upstairs to take a bath. But unknowingly, she fell asleep in the bathtub. If Xing Xiao did not find her when he got home, she would have drowned in it. In the afternoon, when they were having dinner, Secretary He laughed at Xing Xiao. This little sister-in-law is really interesting. I did not expect her to become a forensic doctor. It is not easy for a rich family to endure such hardships. So, I will not make things difficult for you today. Go home early. Little sister-in-law must be tired after a long day. She must be very tired when she sees you. Thank you, Secretary He. Xing Xiao could not help but laugh. Let's go. I will handle the rest. They are all sensible people. They will not make things difficult for you. Then, I will thank Secretary He first. Having said that, Xing Xiao left the dinner. When he got home, he saw Mu Qiqi soaking in the water. When he looked at her feet, he saw that they were actually blistered. These were not a pair of feet of a young lady. She did not take care of herself at all. Xing Xiao thought about it. But he still carried the little one out of the bathtub. Then, he put her on the bed so that she could sleep more comfortably. When he changed his clothes and went downstairs, Mama Xing did not see him. She asked, "Where is Qiqi?" "She is asleep. When she is hungry, I will find Aunt Wu. Then let her sleep." Mama Xing smiled. Her appearance on TV today caused a sensation. Her grandfather, father, and the Shen family are all proud of her. Although Grandpa Shen didn't say it, I can still see from his expression that he still recognizes Xiao Qi's seriousness and dedication. You have all seen it. Only I have not, Xing Xiao said. Chapter 525. After eating and returning to his room, Xing Xiao really went to search the news. He wanted to know how much perseverance this little one had used to do this. Now, he saw it. Her petite body shuttled through the murder scene and kept going in and out of the yellow cordon. No wonder her feet were blistered. That was the Special Investigations team. None of the cases they received were easy. Sometimes, even men could not stand it, let alone a little girl. After a while, Mu Qiqi woke up from her hunger. When she saw Xing Xiao sitting beside her, she naturally reached out and hugged her man. Xing Xiao looked down at her little head. Knowing that she had slept enough, he asked, "Hungry?" "Yes." Mu Qiqi nodded. "Get up and eat. I just asked Fifth Aunt to bring it in." Xing Xiao pointed at the table beside him with his chin. Mu Qiqi sat up and smelled the fragrance. She quickly got off the bed and sat in front of the table. "How did you know that I would wake up soon?" "I don't know when you will wake up, but I know that you will definitely wake up when you smell the fragrance." Xing Xiao smiled and unbuttoned his shirt. Then, he took out the medicine box from the cabinet and sat beside Mu Qiqi. Mu Qiqi was stunned. She did not understand what he was going to do. Then, she saw him take out a band-aid and put Mu Qiqi's leg on his body. "I know that in the future, running to murder scenes, going out into the field, and even distorting the truth will become your norm. But I hope that when you're injured or in danger, you'll think of me and worry about whether or not I'll feel sorry for you." Mu Qiqi listened to Xing Xiao seriously. She was a little confused. Logically speaking, this man would stop her. But today, he did not. "Are you wondering why I didn't stop you from going to the crime scene?" "Yes." Mu Qiqi nodded. "I saw your figure on the news today. I feel that my little one wants to become that kind of person. Since that's the case, why should I stop you?" Xing Xiao bandaged her wound and looked up to ask her in return. "That's right. Why should I stop you?" Mu Qiqi put down her bowl and chopsticks and threw herself into Xing Xiao's arms. "I knew it. You are the person who understands me the best in the world. But, I have a request. Tell me. Muchichi's eyes shone like stars. You're not allowed to miss out on any classes related to grappling, fighting, or self-defense. Other than that, I've also hired professional coaches to strengthen your body. I don't need to arrest the murderer. I want you to learn how to escape. Xing Xiao pinched her nose. In order to supervise you, I'll spare some time to practice with you. Muchichi wrapped her arms around his neck and nodded excitedly. Okay, I'll listen to you. Let's continue eating. Although the little one seemed to listen to him and obey him in everything, Xing Xiao could clearly feel how insistent the little one was on certain things, and it was usually him who would compromise when it came to that. After dinner, Muchichi went downstairs again. She wanted to meet Mama Sheng on purpose so that she wouldn't worry her. However, Mama Sheng had gone to the Shens, and Papa Sheng was sitting in the living room watching television. Dad, aren't you going to rest? I'll go later. Chi-Chi, is the murderer from the Gu family? Muchichi was surprised that Papa Sheng would care about the result. She smiled and said, I'm not sure yet. Then be careful when you go out. Okay. Muchichi was very touched. Although Papa Sheng rarely expressed his concern for her at home, she knew that her father-in-law was really worried about her safety. The next morning, Muchichi went to school. However, she received a call from the professor halfway. We found the tire marks you found yesterday. It's a blue mini truck. The police have checked the car's owner through the surveillance cameras, but the license plate is fake. So, the people in the team searched for the car through the surveillance cameras. Good Lord, after one night, they finally found the location where the car was parked. It was actually near the victim's house. So, have you found the owner of the car? Muchichi asked with concern. The team has been checking the road with the surveillance cameras. They saw the driver of the car, but they can't confirm his identity yet. But, Chi-Chi, you've done a great job this time. Then, Professor, please tell me when you found the murderer. I will. Although the professor did not say it, he was much more relaxed than 2 days ago. By the way, the victim's tissue and phone were found in the trash can nearby. It's a low-end residential area with a poor environment. It's lucky that the trash hasn't been cleaned for a few days. But unfortunately, the phone is completely broken. It seemed that the murderer was very close. So, it has nothing to do with the person from the Gu family? Xing Xiao asked Muchichi when he saw her hang up the phone. Not really. Muchichi answered seriously. The Gu family's seaside amusement park is not allowed to enter unless it's their own construction workers. So, why did the murderer commit the crime there? Even if the murderer is not Huat Song, he must be related to him. That's what I think. Xing Xiao smiled when he heard that. He looked handsome. Forensic Dr. Mu, you're very confident. Not at all. It's all thanks to my dear fiancé's guidance. Then, do you remember what day it will be 2 days later? Of course I remember. Muchichi snorted. You're underestimating me. No matter how important the investigation is, I'll always put your matter first. It'll never change. Xing Xiao hugged her and was finally satisfied. It was just that Muchichi's appearance on the news yesterday made her a reputable person in the forensic science department. Feng Shanshan could not help but snort when she saw her. Didn't I ask you to deal with Huat Song yesterday? You even went to the scene. The professor said he needed help, so I went. At least you're useful. I know the progress. Feng Shanshan did not continue to be jealous. We'll probably get the result tonight. Do you have any suspects in mind? The direct murderer is definitely not Hua Kong. The professor said that the murderer parked the car near the victim's house. I think we can think of it as an acquaintance. I think we can interrogate the victim's best friend. The victim has no relatives in the world. She only has a best friend. The police believe whatever she says. Anyway, she's sure that the victim won't say anything. Unfortunately. Chapter 526. At the same time, the Gu family was trying their best to salvage the situation. For example, they admitted their mistake publicly and promised to cooperate with the police in the investigation. But no matter what, the amusement park project could no longer continue. So, they put up a notice to stop the construction of all the facilities. Not only that, they also hoped that the workers would not leave for the time being so that they could cooperate with the investigation. Everyone knew how much money the Gu family had invested in this project. Now that the project could no longer proceed because of the murder case, it affected the interests of the shareholders and investors. So, Mama Gu could no longer hold the fort in Gu Corporation. Seeing this situation, Gu Xiling's confidence was getting weaker and weaker. Recently, she just stayed in her room and did not even bother to see the Xing family. During dinner, Grandpa Xing looked at the empty seat and asked Xing Kai, "Is Xiling not feeling well? Why is she not coming out for dinner?" "She is worried and sad because of what happened in her family. So, she can't come out for dinner with Grandpa," explained Xing Kai. "Sigh, the amusement park project might directly drag down the Gu family. I don't want her to go back because I want her to be less affected. She must understand Grandpa's painstaking efforts." "I don't know if second sister-in-law understands Grandpa's painstaking efforts. But I think you don't understand my painstaking efforts." Xing Bowen took the opportunity to say to Xing Kai, at this critical moment, "You still want to increase the investment in Tiffany and Company. I really don't understand. Are you gambling with Huang Yao? We had a meeting in the company for a few hours and there was no result. Are you still going to quarrel with me when you go home? Third brother, you should know that I am the decision maker." Xing Bowen shrugged. "Second brother, I don't care what your company does. But you must not fill the bottomless pit of the Gu family. Do you hear me?" "Yes," Xing Kai quickly said. Then, Grandpa Xing got up and went back to his room. Now, only Xing Kai, Xing Bowen, and the others were left. "Third brother, no matter what happens to the Gu family, at least you are not strong enough to shake my position as the crown prince. So, don't stir up trouble in front of Grandpa." Xing Bowen wanted to say something, but Hu Ran stopped him. "You'll know when second brother suffers. The two of you only think about letting Huang Yao suffer losses all day long. Traitors." Having said that, Xing Kai got up from his chair and left the dining room. Xing Bowen looked at Hu Ran and then at sixth brother, who was eating quietly. How he wished he could be as free as sixth brother. "Third brother, it wasn't easy for me to come back for a meal. Don't look at me like that." Clearly, sixth brother did not want to get involved in their fight. "You agree with second brother?" "I think second brother has his reasons." With that, sixth brother lowered his head and focused on his meal. Hu Ran nudged his arm, signaling him not to be so serious. "You've reminded him several times, but he doesn't take it seriously. He's the same as Gu Xiling, so there's nothing you can do. Gu Xiling is about to lose her support. Let's see second brother's reaction first. I don't know if Grandpa will keep a woman who has lost power or drive her away." At this moment, the criminal police unit was bustling with activity. After finding out the owner of the car, the police followed the clues and found the major suspect of the murder case. It was really the victim's best friend and her husband. When they realized that it was a double crime, the police brought the woman back to the station and began to interrogate her. They used many traps and finally found some clues from her mouth. It was not until the man was arrested that the woman realized that perhaps the matter could not be hidden anymore. This woman's psychological quality is not ordinary. If the male murderer was not arrested, she would still lead the police in circles. How cunning. "So, is everything clear?" Mu Chichi asked the people in the team. "Yes. Everything is clear. The victim is really pitiful. It turned out that the victim's best friend had always wanted a child, but she could not get pregnant because she had aborted too many times. In order to satisfy her husband's desire to have a child, she turned her criminal eyes on her best friend. Because she was familiar with everything about the victim, she also knew that she had escaped from a rich family and was alone. Their plan succeeded, and the victim successfully became pregnant. However, after the child was born, the victim found that the child had the same birthmark behind his ear as her best friend's husband. So, she became suspicious and questioned her best friend. This vicious woman was afraid that the victim would call the police, so she schemed with her husband to kill the victim. So, she took the child away and led the victim to the basement. Moreover, she kept using the child as a hostage to make the victim willingly suffer and not resist. The poor victim thought that the vicious couple would let the child go, so she was tortured to death. But in the end, the child was not saved. At that time, how could the murderer stay to attract suspicion? Then, the couple used the excuse of transporting construction waste to transport the body in a truck. Finally, they threw the body into the well and carefully cleaned up the scene so that the police would not find any clues. Pulled out fingernails and gouged out eyes, the fingernails might have left evidence of the suspect. As for the eyes, it was because the vicious woman still felt sorry for her best friend. She was afraid to look into the victim's eyes, so, the police officer explained. The murderer has finally been caught. Chi-Chi, you have done a great job. But this matter is not completely over, right? Mu-Chi-Chi asked. The police officer looked at Mu-Chi-Chi in disbelief and smiled. If not for your age, I would have thought that you have been in the police station for many years. You are so experienced, because it is not easy to enter the Gu family's construction site. There are so many workers, and it is impossible not to be discovered. The police officer pointed at Mu-Chi-Chi and praised her. Smart. That scumbag Huatsong is not as innocent as he looks. According to the murderer, Huatsong and his wife found out the first time he met the victim in the restaurant. Later, the murderer met Huatsong and told him that the victim planned to extort money from Huatsong as his ex-wife. He reminded Huatsong to be careful of his ex-wife, and spread rumors in front of Huatsong that the victim was promiscuous, had many men, and had a rotten private life. How could Huatsong tolerate that with his temper? He immediately told the murderer that he would pay the murderer to find someone to rape the victim. The murderer wanted to drag Huatsong down with him. He said that he could help, but Huatsong must provide a safe place. Huatsong thought that the murderer only wanted to teach the victim a lesson, so he arranged for the basement of the amusement park. Chapter 527. On the day of the plan, he wanted to vent his anger before the victim was raped by other men. Who knew that he would be beaten away by his ex-wife? And the victim's child was taken away by the murderer at that time. Mu-Chi-Chi had goosebumps all over her body when she heard the whole story. Her scalp went numb. Has Huatsong been arrested now? The captain has already gone, the police officer replied. He's a scumbag with a pig's brain who was used by others. When he is arrested, we'll interrogate him carefully. We'll find out how he contacted the murderer. Mu-Chi-Chi looked at the body on the bed. She felt that she could comfort the poor woman's soul in heaven. 2 main culprits and 1 accomplice. None of them could escape. Feng Shanshan also listened to the entire case and sighed, which was rare of her. It's really not an ordinary kind of madness. No matter what, you've been a great help. You've been involved in this case from the beginning to the end. How do you feel now? I just feel disgusted. Although I can comfort the victim, I want to vomit when I think of the cunning faces of the 3 people, Mu-Chi-Chi replied. You'll get used to it. The professor persuaded her. This is a very valuable experience for you. Look at you. You're famous now. I'm famous myself, okay? Mu-Chi-Chi glared at them. What was the situation with the Gu family now? The shareholders were in the Gu family, the directors were in the Gu family, and the creditors were in the Gu family. At this time, the police came and took out an arrest warrant. They asked Mrs. Gu, is Huatsong at home? You police officers come to our house again and again instead of arresting the murderer. Don't you know that we don't see guests now? Mrs. Gu said fiercely to the police. Mrs. Gu, please look carefully. This is not a search warrant. This is an arrest warrant. Your brother is suspected of murder. The evidence is conclusive. Mrs. Gu took a few steps back when she heard this. How? How is it possible? My brother told me that he has nothing to do with this murder. Do you believe his words? The criminal's face will not have the words "I killed someone" written on it. Then, the captain ordered his subordinates. Search the house. We must catch the suspect. Although Huatsong felt guilty, he still firmly believed that he was not a murderer, so he would be fine. The Gu family would not leave him alone. However, when he saw the police come to arrest him, he was very confused. Why did you arrest me? How many times have I told you? I didn't kill anyone. You are not the mastermind, but you are an accomplice. The police handcuffed him. Sis, save me. I didn't kill anyone. Sis, believe me. However, Mama Gu didn't look at her brother anymore. She was afraid that she wouldn't be able to control her emotions. Almost the entire Gu family was ruined in his hands. What else did he want? Subsequently, the news also followed up on this matter. Everyone saw Huatsong being taken away from the Gu family. Second sister-in-law said that uncle's problem would be solved, but what happened in the end? Now that she has been arrested, this slap in the face has come too quickly, Huran said to Xing Bowen as she watched the news. Chi-Chi has done a great job. Gu Xiling didn't know that her uncle was so cunning. Now that she was hiding in her room, she didn't dare to appear in the hall of the Xing family. She didn't want to see Huran and Xing Bowen laughing at her. Soon, Mama Gu called Gu Xiling. Xiling, Mommy can't hold on any longer. Mom, is the situation that bad? If you abandon the Gu family now, you can still protect your grandfather's business. I don't want everything to be ruined and you won't be able to hold your head up high in the Xing family. All the shareholders have withdrawn their funds. The bank will soon come to collect the debt for the seaside amusement park project. The Gu family's shortage of funds will become more and more serious. This vicious cycle will not end well. Your father is crazy. Your uncle is arrested. Your brother is still a coward. We can't turn the situation around. I will beg Grandpa. I will beg the Xing family to save us. Having said that, Gu Xiling hung up. She couldn't accept the bankruptcy of the Gu family. So, she rushed out of the room and knelt in front of Grandpa Sheng. Grandpa, please save the Gu family. Now, I can only hope that the Xing family can give me a glimmer of hope. Grandpa Sheng saw Gu Xiling kneeling on the ground. He didn't say anything for a long time. Of course, Huran and Xing Bowen were surprised. They didn't expect Gu Xiling to break down so suddenly. Xiling, it's not that I don't want to save you. But who would be willing to take over the Gu family's mess now? The seaside amusement park project has tens of billions of investment. It's not easy to fill the gap. Moreover, the project has been abandoned because of the murder case. Who would be willing to spend tens of billions just to fill the gap of the Gu family? You have to get over it. Gu Xiling fell to the ground. Tears streamed down her face. It's all because of Mu Chi-Chi. Mu Chi-Chi wants to take revenge on me. That's why things have come to this. After hearing Gu Xiling's words, Huran rolled her eyes. Your uncle is suspected of murder. Is this also Mu Chi-Chi's arrangement? Your uncle chose to hand over the basement of the seaside amusement park to the murderer. It's not Mu Chi-Chi's doing. Gu Xiling, why don't you look for the reason from yourself? Why are you blaming others? And you are all on Mu Chi-Chi's side. Xiao Ran, don't provoke her anymore. Xing Bowen put his arm around Huran's shoulder. At that moment, Xing Kai came in from the outside. His eyes turned red when he saw Gu Xiling kneeling on the ground. Are you bullying your second sister-in-law again? All right. Don't mention this again. Xiling, you are the daughter-in-law of the Xing family now. Do your part. That's more important than anything else. Grandpa Xing sighed and told Gu Xiling. He could only blame himself for being blind. He insisted on building a relationship with the Gu family and almost let Xing Xiao and Gu Xiling get together. Who knew that the Gu family would be so vulnerable in just half a year? Xing Kai glared at Hu Ran and Xing Bowen. Then, he carried Gu Xiling back to the room. Hu Ran rolled her eyes again. That couple was really unreasonable. After this incident, second sister-in-law will probably list Mu Qiqi as her number one enemy. Chapter 528. Grandpa probably doesn't want to add insult to injury at this time. He will have a plan. After spending some time with Grandpa Sheng, Hu Ran knew what kind of person Grandpa Sheng was. He was absolutely obedient to his own interests. If he did not take action from the beginning, it meant that he still had some concerns. Oh, by the way, my friend in the entertainment industry is helping you find out something. Third brother suddenly said to Hu Ran. When are you free? Let's meet up. Can you find out more about that woman? This person is already the most famous paparazzi in the circle. If he doesn't know something, no one else can, explained Xing Bowen. Let's try. Okay. Hu Ran nodded. Thank you, third brother. You are really willing to take my matter to heart. Even if we are not a real couple, we are still allies on the same boat. Isn't it reasonable for us to do this? After hearing this, Hu Ran smiled. In fact, she did not understand what kind of feelings she had for Xing Bowen. In the past, there was sympathy. Later, there was gratitude. Of course, there was also some admiration. But it did not seem like she liked him. Was it because the time was too short and she had too little experience? But even so, Xing Bowen was the only husband in her heart. She did not plan to change her husband in this life. In another room of the Xing family, Gu Xiling sat on the bed and cried for a whole hour. Xing Kai could not say anything to comfort her. He did not dare to approach her because she would lose her temper. I knew that Grandpa was ruthless, but I did not expect him to be this ruthless. The Gu family's business is too big. You have to face the reality, said Xing Kai. How do you expect me to face the reality? If the Xing family is not bankrupt, of course you will not feel anything. Without the Gu family, you will still be the daughter-in-law of the Xing family. You will still be my wife. Moreover, your grandfather's business will be preserved. When I take over as the chairman of Huang Yao, I will be able to make my own decisions. What can I give you? Why are you so impatient now? You know very well that third brother and his wife are waiting to pick on us. They're waiting to see us make a fool of ourselves. If you cry and make a fuss like this, not only will it do you no good, it will also do me no good. Gu Xiling finally stopped crying. Do you really think so? A few days ago, although we did have a disagreement, you are my legally wedded wife. No matter what, I will stand by your side. Otherwise, wouldn't I be laughed at by others? As the dignified CEO of Huang Yao, I can't even manage my own backyard well? When Gu Xiling was done crying, she threw herself into his arms. I will help you. I will help you become the chairman of Huang Yao at all costs. At the same time, I hope you can understand how deep my hatred for Mu Qiqi is, alright. Since he couldn't blame himself, he could only blame others. After Huat Song was arrested, he still clamored in the interrogation room, saying that the Gu family would find him the best lawyer and let him walk out of the police station unscathed. However, the interrogating policeman told him realistically, because of you, Gu's is going to go bankrupt soon. You have no other way out but to admit your guilt. I didn't kill anyone. You didn't kill anyone directly, but you provided assistance to the murderer. So, you are an accomplice. How can you bear to do that to a woman you have slept with for so many years? That bitch. She made me a joke. I just wanted to teach her a lesson. The policeman couldn't bear it anymore. He slammed the table. Do you know how long the sentence is for an accomplice who threatens and causes death? At least 8 years. And in this case, there is 1 corpse, 2 lives, and a baby. If you still refuse to confess, you will be skinned after 15 years. Think about it carefully. I don't want to waste more time with you now. Huatsong's face changed when he heard 15 years. Do I really have to stay in jail for that long? Do you want me to find the criminal evidence and prove it for you? Huatsong's hands were trembling. He thought for a few seconds and finally said, I'll tell you. Although the police already knew what Huatsong had said, they still felt disgusted because it came from another scumbag's mouth. Because he and the victim were once husband and wife. The forensics lab let Muchichi rest at home for 2 days to help solve the case. Moreover, it was the weekend soon, so Muchichi and Lu Qianqian agreed to have dinner together. The little bride that people talked about enthusiastically in the past had now become a capable and experienced female forensic doctor. Lu Qianqian gave Muchichi a thumbs up when she saw her. Think about it. You were a coward when you transferred to Eton 2 or 3 years ago. People thought you were easy to bully. But now, you are someone who can dissect corpses anytime. You too. You've changed. Big CEO, I can't offend you now, or I won't get a free meal. Lu Qianqian pointed at Muchichi and smiled. They were chatting happily when a figure passing by the door caught Lu Qianqian's attention. What are you looking at? The woman who just passed by seems to be Lin Mu-an's aunt. You've seen the Lin family? I've seen them in photos. Sometimes, I want to live in peace with them. Lu Qianqian stood up. Chi-Chi, I'll go take a look. I feel something is wrong. Let's go together. After saying that, the two of them chased after him. Meanwhile, Lin Mu-an's aunt was being held by 2 men. It seemed that she could not even walk properly. What are you doing? Lu Qianqian chased after them and stopped them. At that moment, Lu Qianqian could clearly see Aunt Lin's face. It was a clear sign that she was drunk. When the 2 men saw that Lu Qianqian was looking for trouble, they wanted to stop her from being a busybody. But Muchichi's appearance made them wary. Isn't this the female forensic doctor? Forget it. Let's go. After that, the 2 men left Lin Mu-an's aunt and ran away. Lu Qianqian and Muchichi helped Lin Mu-an into the hotel room until Lin Mu-an arrived. It's really my aunt, since you're here, Chi-Chi and I will continue eating. The Lin family probably doesn't want to see me. Lin Mu-an probably wanted to comfort Lu Qianqian. He grabbed her hand and said, You and Xiao-Qi go first. I'll come for you later. Okay. Lu Qianqian nodded and left the room with Muchichi. At that moment, Lin Mu-an shook his aunt awake. Where is this? Mu-an? The woman on the bed rubbed her head in confusion. She tried to see Lin Mu-an clearly. Lin Mu-an was a little helpless. You were drunk by 2 men just now. Do you remember? Those 2 men wanted to bring you to a room. Qianqian saw them and saved you. Aunt Lin shook her head as if she was trying to wake herself up. Where is Lu Qianqian? Chapter 529. Thank her for me. Also, don't tell your grandfather. Aunt Lin threatened Lin Mu-an. Lin Mu-an chuckled. I'm not in the Lin family now. I don't have the chance to see that old man. You don't have to worry. Aunt Lin wanted to say something more. But when she saw Lin Mu-an had disappeared from the door, she did not ask him to stay. She thought that Lu Qianqian would use this incident to get her support. Unexpectedly, Lu Qianqian did not think that much. Of course, it was possible that this was another trick of Lu Qianqian's. In the private room, Muchichi and Lu Qianqian continued to eat. When Lin Mu-an saw his fiancée, he sat down beside her like a loyal dog. Where's your aunt? Let her go home by herself. Otherwise, she will think too much and think that you have some scheme. After Lin Mu an answered, he patted Lu Qianqian's head. How do you know my aunt? I've seen your family's photo. Lu Qianqian rolled her eyes. This is the difference between men and women. Women know how to love me and my dog. Then, am I bad to mom? Ahem, Mu Qiqi coughed. If you want to flirt, can I invite you to go home? They looked at each other and then turned to Mu Qiqi. You're a famous person in Jianchuan now. I have to see you a few more times before you graduate. Otherwise, I won't be able to get your autograph when you graduate and start working. That's right. That's true. Mu Qiqi replied without hesitation. So, do you really come into contact with all kinds of corpses every day? Aren't you afraid? Mu Qiqi ate her dessert and looked up at Lu Qianqian. It depends on what kind of corpse it is. Decomposed, rotten, or maggots crawling all over it. When Lu Qianqian heard that, her scalp went numb. Don't say it. I've never been scared. Only a case last time. I was so scared that I got sick for a day. Lu Qianqian quickly covered her ears. If you say it again, I won't be able to eat anymore. As my friend, you have to get used to it. After all, my hands. Lu Qianqian subconsciously looked at Mu Qiqi's hand and immediately imagined her holding a scalpel. Xiao Qi, stop teasing her. I don't think she'll be able to sleep tonight. It's your birthday the day after tomorrow. How are you going to celebrate it? Mu Qiqi glanced at him and answered, get married abroad. Are you so anxious to get married? Nonsense. Mu Qiqi said matter-of-factly. Of course, she would not say that her man was anxious. I'll congratulate you in advance then. Lu Qianqian finally managed to ignore Mu Qiqi's hands and shifted her attention to her face. Actually, I'm quite envious of you. You're too. No, I mean, Xing Shao. He dotes on you so much. You don't have the so-called mother-in-law and daughter-in-law problem. The whole family dotes on you. Even when you're in a rich family, you can be yourself wholeheartedly. Don't you also have a Mr. Right who will follow you through life and death? Mu Qiqi did not think that she was really envious. Everyone had their own fate and choices. After the three of them had dinner, Mu Qiqi received a call from her man. He was going to Zhongding to accompany him to work. Lin Mu and also planned to send Lu Qianqian to the company. However, when Lu Qianqian entered the company, she was stopped by her third uncle. Qianqian, you have to help me. If you don't, I'm dead meat. What's the matter? Lu Qianqian pulled him up and asked the secretary to help him to his seat. Can you lend me 30 million yuan? Lu Qianqian was stunned. Although she was mentally prepared, she was still shocked when she heard the figure from this man's mouth. What do you want 30 million yuan for? Don't ask me why. I'm just asking you, are you willing to lend it to me? The uncle's expression was very anxious and he looked very embarrassed. It seemed that he did not go home last night. 30 million yuan is not a small amount. I've just become the chairman of Lu Holdings. Where do you want me to transfer the money to you in such a short time? Lu Qianqian asked him. Qianqian, if you don't lend it to me, I can only chop my hand off. You don't want me to live a life worse than death, do you? Gambling debt? Lu Qianqian guessed it immediately. Third uncle took a deep breath and finally nodded. Yes, gambling debt. I don't expect you to pay me back the 30 million yuan. But I want your shares as collateral, Lu Qianqian said seriously. A gambler will do it again after the first time. I don't want you to treat me as your cash cow. If you want 30 million yuan, I'll give you 30 million yuan. If you agree, I'm ready to give you the money. If you don't, you can only find someone else. After all, I remember clearly what you and the other uncles did to me when my father passed away. I'm not the one who put the snake in your room. That's not important, Lu Qianqian said seriously. Do you agree or not? The uncle gritted his teeth and got up from the sofa. You're taking advantage of me. I won't fall for it. I didn't expect you to be so arrogant after becoming the chairman. Just you wait. I'll sell it to someone else, but not to you. You mean you don't want the 30 million yuan, right? Lu Qianqian's voice became cold. I don't want it. After saying that, the uncle rushed out of the door. He was probably going to look for his next target. Lu Qianqian took a deep breath and said to the secretary, send someone to follow him. If anything happens, call the police immediately. Yes, Chairman. Although she had no feelings for these uncles, they were her father's blood relatives. It was unreasonable for her not to care about them at all. But she had just started working. How could she be controlled by these uncles? If this happened and the other uncles did the same thing next time, how could she manage the entire Lu Enterprises? Of course, Lu Qianqian knew that these uncles were not easy to deal with. She had to be prepared to deal with them for a long time. Sometimes, she felt very tired, but because of these people, she constantly reminded herself that since she was sitting in this position, she must be extra serious. After returning to the office, Lu Qianqian sat on the office chair and thought about the whole incident. Then, she told the secretary, prepare the best wedding gift for me. I want to give it to my best friend. Then, does she need anything? Forget it. I'll choose it myself. You can help me. Mu Qiqi did not lack anything, the only thing she lacked was kindness. Chapter 530. Soon, Mu Qiqi arrived at Zhongteng. Seeing that her man was about to leave with his team, she approached him and asked, are you going out for business? Why did you ask me to come? The people from Su Holdings have arrived. Fourth sister is in her office, and you haven't seen her for a long time. Go in and talk to her. You want to work with Su Holdings? Xing Xiao did not deny it, and promptly led his team to the meeting room. Mu Qiqi did not ask anything, and simply pushed the door open and entered Xing Xiao's office. Xing Minglan had not seen Mu Qiqi for a long time, and smiled warmly when she saw her. You are now a celebrity in our family. Fourth sister, are you going to mock me too? I didn't really help much in this case. It's only because of my identity that I caused such a stir. You know that. Mu Qiqi sat down beside Xing Minglan. Is Jingyun here too? Yes. He's leading Su Holdings' team. I'm suddenly curious what kind of sparks would fly between them if they stand on different sides. Isn't that simple? We'll know when we peek. Mu Qiqi smiled. Xing Xiao had always been successful in the business world, but half of the credit went to Jingyun. Now that they had been separated for half a year, Xing Xiao's working ability was still as astonishing as ever, and Jingyun would certainly not lose out to him. It would definitely be exciting if they were to get together and talk about a partnership. So, the two family members secretly opened the door of the office. Xing Xiao saw it at once, and so did the secretary. She was about to walk over, but Xing Xiao stopped her. The secretary smiled and told Xing Xiao, I'm going to get chairs for the two ladies. After all, Xing Xiao had once said that Mu Qiqi came first in everything. No matter how stupid the secretary was, she would never not know that she was his CEO's favorite. And since she was his favorite, he certainly had to serve her well. Go. Soon, the two ladies entered the meeting room openly, and sat in an inconspicuous corner. Meanwhile, Xing Xiao was sitting at the head of the table, while Jingyun sat on the other side. It was a representation of their position and position. Although Su Enterprise is a large enterprise, it hasn't been long since we returned to Jianchuan. If you can't come up with the best plan to convince me, then I won't give you face just because we're old acquaintances. Jingyun smiled and had his secretary put the documents in front of Xing Xiao. I've already looked through the information. Although it's 9 out of 10, it's still not perfect for me. I'm all ears, Jingyun said. The higher-ups of Zhongteng and Su Holdings sat on both sides of the table. They had thought that the meeting would be more relaxed since everyone knew Jing Yun's previous identity. She did not expect Xing Xiao to be so strict. There are 3 things that Su Holdings wants to work with Zhongting on. First, Zhongting announced at the charity banquet. Su Holdings wants to jointly fund the 10-year school construction project with Zhongting. You will be responsible for the construction of the school's medical facilities. What makes you think that I will agree to it? After all, there's no profit involved, and I would have to waste my manpower to contact Su Holdings. Secondly, Su Holdings is in the medical field, and I want to set up a special research institute. On this point, we coincidentally have the same goal. Your goal is to open up a channel for the military, and I want you to provide technology and talents. This sounds like a win-win situation, but what if you manage to open up a channel for the military and bypass me to negotiate with them? Wouldn't I be nurturing a tiger? Third, there are so many medical companies out there, and you don't have enough of an advantage. I could choose Su Holdings, or someone else. What do you think, Chief Su? Mu Qiqi looked at her man. So, this man was so indifferent when he was on the negotiating table. Even Jing Yun of the past would not give way. Of course, you would be underestimating Jing Yun if you think that would stump him. As Chief Xing said, firstly, we want to be responsible for the construction of the school's medical facilities, and achieve a win-win situation with Zhongting. That's why we are not implicated in terms of profit. Of course, Zhongting does not need such an extra step now that it has grown so much, but Su Holdings does not need to use Su Holdings' name for the medical facilities, and Zhongting can enjoy that reputation alone. Secondly, the talents needed to establish a special research center are the best, and the technology is exclusive to Su Holdings. Shouldn't Chief Xing be happy to enjoy such a huge discount just by being a middleman? After all, I could find another way without you. Thirdly, it's true that Su Holdings does not have any advantage except for their deep pockets. But Su Holdings' greatest potential is not the cutting-edge research center, but me. Mu Qiqi breathed a sigh of relief at Jing Yun's words. It's really exciting to see the 2 of them go back and forth. I'm shocked too, Xing Minglan said. Still, from their point of view, it does seem that they should go head-to-head like this. Then who do you think won and who lost? On the surface, it looks like they are evenly matched, but the truth is that 8th brother won. Jing Yun is a little shameless, especially the last one. Xing Minglan said with a smile. He was so arrogant because he was sure that 8th brother would give in. Chief Su has said so much. Does anyone else have anything to say? Xing Xiao asked everyone in the room in a businesslike manner. What else could the others have to say when both of them had put it that way? If that's the case, Su Holdings should come up with a more detailed document and arrange for someone else to come and sign it. I hope you won't disappoint me, Chief Su. Now that Zhongting held the Lu family's shares and was working with Su Holdings, its position in Jianchuan was like the sun at high noon. He believed that in the near future, the established companies such as Huang Yao would have to step aside. I'll come again the day after tomorrow and talk to you personally, Chief Xing. Xing Xiao glanced at Mu Qiqi and answered Jing Yun. I won't be around that day. You can talk to the vice president directly. It's your birthday, isn't it? Xing Minglan remembered. 8th brother wants to celebrate with you? We're actually planning to go abroad for registration. Mu Qiqi replied. An old man approaching his 30s doesn't have a sense of security, and is in a hurry to turn me into his cheap wife. Xing Minglan smiled at that. That's a good thing. 8th brother dotes on you, and I heard from Jing Yun that half of the reason 8th brother wants to set up that research institute is because you're a forensic doctor. Xiao Qi, 8th brother would only be complete with you by his side. I'm really happy for both of you. Perhaps his greatest wish is for you to live happily and freely for the rest of your life. Chapter 531. Following Mu Qiqi's gaze, Xing Minglan saw the adoration and gentleness in her eyes. Soon, the 2 men came to their own women. Xing Xiao extended a hand to Mu Qiqi. Let's go. Congratulations, Xing Minglan said, leaning into his arms. Xing Minglan leaned into Jing Yun's embrace and told them, you must inform them about the wedding as soon as possible. That's true. It's still too early. Mu Qiqi blushed and glanced at Xing Xiao. Then we'll go back first. We'll find a chance to have a good chat when you're back. Mu Qiqi nodded and saw Jing Yun and Mu Qiqi off Zhongteng. Seeing that her man had returned to his post, Mu Qiqi propped her hands on the table and asked, I thought I could have dinner with fourth sister and Xing Xiao tonight. Fourth sister is in a hurry to go to the hospital for a checkup. Xing Xiao answered without looking up. Pregnant? Mu Qiqi guessed. Probably. That's great news. With that, Mu Qiqi walked around the table and sat on Xing Xiao's lap. Talk to me for a while. How am I supposed to work when you're like this? You called me here and you still want to work? Mu Qiqi deliberately rubbed against his leg. You used to be a flirt, but you've become a flirt after half a year. Xing Xiao could not stand her moving around, so he pressed her down on the table and leaned over to kiss her. If you don't behave, I'll teach you a lesson and make you cry. How do you want to teach me a lesson? Mu Qiqi deliberately rubbed his lips with her fingertips. Xing Xiao did not say anything else, and simply helped her up and walked to his own lounge. Although we've been together for so long, I've never seen you talk business with anyone. If I knew you were so charming, I would have gone out with you more often. Xing Xiao leaned forward at that. Little one, did you smear honey on your lips? Just think of it as me. Man, I want it. Mu Qiqi was unbelievably proactive today. She directly reached out and grabbed Xing Xiao's shirt, pulling him closer to her. You're asking for it. After Xing Xiao said that, flirtatious sounds soon came from the lounge. When the secretary knocked on the door and got no response, he knew that his CEO must be making out with Madame, so he did not disturb him. After all, as long as Mu Qiqi was around, the strict man would become so soft that he was not himself. When the two of them came out of the lounge, it was already 3 hours later. Mu Qiqi slept in Xing Xiao's arms, and Xing Xiao carried her out and left Zhongteng. In the evening, the lights of the Lu mansion was already lit. Lu Qianqian's family was having dinner at the dining table, and the atmosphere was natural and warm. I think I'll be going back to the police academy in 2 days. During the meal, Lin Mu and suddenly said, I'm almost done resting. I don't want to delay the school any longer. Mu's Qian said. Qian. Mu, Qian, Lin Qian said. I said. Lu Mu Qian Mu. Lu Xiaomu said. You deserve it. Go back if you want to. Lu Qianqian rolled her eyes. She stopped him from going back because she felt sorry for him. Who would care if it was another man? Lin Mu chuckled. Just as he was about to comfort his woman, Mama Lu suddenly screamed and immediately stood up from the dining table. Lu Qianqian's third uncle rushed into the living room, covered in blood. Mama Lu paled in fright. Qian, save me. Save me. Lu Qianqian looked closely and found that her third uncle's left hand was gone. Blood was flowing out of the wound. Lin Mu quickly shielded the mother and daughter and shouted at the bodyguards. What are you doing? Don't you know when you let him in? The bodyguards rushed forward and held the man's body, but blood was everywhere. Qian, you have to save me. They really cut off my hand. Qian, Mom, go back to your room. I'll take care of this. Lu Qianqian quickly pushed Mama Lu into the room. Can you do it? Mama Lu was a little dizzy. Mu is here. The bodyguards are here too. It'll be fine. Lu Qianqian quickly comforted her mother. After Mama Lu left, Lu Qianqian went to get the first aid box. We have to stop the bleeding first. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable if he loses too much blood. Give them the box. They know how to do it. Lin Mu and reminded Lu Qianqian to pass the box to the bodyguards. Young Master Lin, we didn't let him in on purpose. He has the key. The debt collectors are outside now. We stopped them just now. After listening to the bodyguards, Lin Mu and walked to the window and looked downstairs. He saw 10 men in black with all kinds of weapons in their hands. How did these people get in? Lu Qianqian was puzzled. Look at them. Even the security guards don't dare to stop them, Lin Mu and replied. Don't worry. The police will be here soon. Qian, save me. They will really kill me. Save me. Lu Qianqian looked at her third uncle. He looked so ferocious and bloody. She really couldn't calm down. Lin Mu and saw this and quickly said to her, go in and accompany Mom. I'll take care of this. Can you? Are you looking down on your man? After saying that, Lin Mu and pushed Lu Qianqian into the room. Lin Mu and still didn't know that his third uncle had already looked for Lu Qianqian. He just squatted in front of him and said, calm down first. You're safe for now. I won't be safe. These people won't leave until they get 30 million yuan. Niece, son-in-law, help me, let's call the police. What a joke. 30 million yuan. When Qianqian was in trouble, this group of uncles had many ideas about Qianqian. Now that they were in trouble, they only knew to come here. No, you can't call the police. You can't. If he called the police, then the police would find out about their gambling. Then, they would kill him. I cannot call the police. But you must calm down and get treatment first. Son-in-law, I beg you. Give them 30 million yuan. Otherwise, they might really kill me. I beg you. Let them bandage your wound first. I'll go in and discuss with Qianqian. After saying that, Lin Mu and signaled the bodyguards to keep a close eye on him. He didn't want to make any mistakes. He also didn't want this man to scare the mother and daughter in the room. Then, Lin Mu and got up and entered the room where the mother and daughter were. How is it? He wants 30 million yuan. He already came to me once during the day. I asked him to use his shares as collateral, but he didn't agree. Lu Qianqian said to Lin Mu and, gambling will happen again if it happens once. How can I give it to him for nothing? Chapter 532. But what do we do now? Lu Qianqian was also shocked by the bloody scene just now. Don't you think it's strange that he has the key to the Lu family? Lin Mu and asked in return. He said he didn't release the snake. Lin Mu and glanced at Lu Qianqian and then turned to Mama Lu. Mommy, please call the other uncles. Since he is a member of the Lu family, I can't let you and your mother face him alone. After all, he is still their biological brother. He is closer than you two. Mama Lu's eyes lit up. Okay. Mama Lu nodded. What about outside now? The police are coming. Those people won't stay long. Third uncle, on the other hand, is emotionally unstable. He might be pretending to be crazy. I'll go out and deal with him. You and your daughter stay here until the other uncles come. Lu Qianqian grabbed Lin Mu An's arm. Will you be okay? Don't worry. Since I'm the only man in the family, I'll certainly protect you. With that, Lin Mu and patted Lu Qianqian's head and went out. In the living room, third uncle of the Lu family had calmed down a little. He was sitting on the sofa covered in blood. But he still looked terrified like a bird startled by the mere twang of a bow. How is it? What did Qianqian say? Don't panic. The people downstairs have left. Lin Mu and said. Qianqian is making a call to see where she can get $30 million. Can you tell me why you have the key to the Lu family, third uncle? It's not just me. The other uncles of the Lu family all have it. Third uncle said. I really didn't release the snake. It's the youngest. What a despicable way to deal with two women. Lin Mu and snorted. Third uncle thought that Lu Qianqian was really raising money for him. But he didn't know that the other uncles came quickly after hearing the news. They entered the Lu family's house one after another, which made third uncle very embarrassed. Why didn't you inform them? They are your brothers. Shouldn't you inform them when you've done something bad? Are you trying to bully Qianqian and her daughter just because they are women? The others were also a little uncomfortable when they saw the blood on the floor. Before they sat down, they thought that this man had come to Lu Qianqian's house to commit murder. Then, Lu Qianqian and her mother came out of the room, and they breathed a sigh of relief. If there was any big news, it would not be good for Lu Enterprises. The reason why I called you over at this time is that I need to discuss with you about third uncle's debt of 30 million yuan. Lu Qianqian explained to the puzzled people, third uncle wants us to save him. Do you have any objections? No, third bro likes to gamble. What does that have to do with us? Second bro said, if he's being chased after, do we have to clean up his mess? Second uncle, you saw it too. Third uncle's hand is gone. As his brother, are you really going to leave him to die? You are the chairman of Lu Enterprises. How can I be in charge of this matter? Now you recognize me as the chairman. Lu Qianqian snorted coldly. 30 million isn't a lot of money for you, uncles. You can find a beautiful mistress outside and give her more than 30 million. Qianqian, the money is our own. How we use it is our own business. I just don't want to spend money on this gambler. You can't do anything about it, right? What about uncle? Are you going to leave him to die too? If you agree, we will each give 10 million yuan to help third uncle through this difficult time. What do you think? Lu Qianqian turned around and asked the youngest. Little uncle of the Lu family was the most scheming. But faced with such a situation, he could only say, when big brother was still around, we were like our father. Indeed, we should be united. But now that big brother is gone, I think it's better for us to live our own lives. Besides, we don't know what kind of person third brother has offended this time. If he goes to gamble again, what should we do? We have families too. We can't keep supporting him, can we? In the end, they were not willing to take out the money, even if it was 10 million yuan. When third uncle heard this, he glared at them angrily. You two are worse than beasts. If you make me angry, I will expose all the dirty things you have done to the media. Go ahead. You're the one being chased by the creditor spider. Everyone's focus will only be on you. If you really want to make a big deal out of this, Qianqian will be the first to object. Wouldn't that be a disgrace to Lu Enterprises? Third uncle was speechless when he heard what youngest uncle Lu said. All right, I know your attitude. Since everyone is here today, let's make things clear. It's fine if you don't want to save third uncle today. I won't force you. But if you are in trouble in the future, don't blame me for not reminding you. You won't get our help either. We don't need it. Second uncle smiled firmly. All right then. You can leave. But before you leave, hand over the key to my house. Otherwise, I will ask a lawyer to handle this. Trash is trash. They do such dirty things. They don't even let women go. The other two uncles looked unhappy, especially when Lu Qianqian scolded them. We don't know what you are talking about, they definitely have your keys on them. Third uncle finally spoke up. Since you're being heartless, I'm not going to be righteous either. Don't slander us. And the snake in Qianqian's room was released by the youngest. We can't be bothered to listen to your nonsense. Having said that, the two uncles quickly got up and left the Lu mansion. Then, Lu Qianqian looked at third uncle coldly. These are your brothers. They are all shameless people. I didn't count on them in the first place. Third uncle said in despair. I know that you don't want to help me. But I have nowhere to go. There's no other way. I'm still going to say the same thing. If you want $30 million, I can give it to you. But, I want the shares in your hands as collateral. $30 million isn't much, so you don't have to be so nervous. I just want you to know that I paid a price for this money. If you want to gamble again, you should think it through. After hearing what Lu Qianqian said, third uncle finally nodded. I promise you. If you said that earlier, your hand wouldn't be like this. The bodyguards will accompany you to the hospital later. They will ensure your safety tonight. Come back tomorrow to sign the papers and get the money. All right. Third uncle finally compromised with Lu Qianqian. In his heart, he had a deeper understanding of this little girl. She was definitely not a paper tiger. I will return the key to you. Chapter 533. Soon, the bodyguard sent third uncle of the Lu family away. But the bloodstains on the floor made one's scalp tingle. Mama Lu was very pleased. My Qianqian has really grown up. Mommy, you should go back to your room and rest. I'll ask the servants to clean it up. Qianqian, I think you should be on guard tonight. Your youngest uncle did not hesitate to hurt the people of Lu Holdings just to cause trouble for you. Now that he knows about your third uncle, he might think of a way to blow things up and humiliate Lu Holdings. Then, the board of directors will make things difficult for you. Mama Lu felt that it made sense. Qianqian, I also think that we should be on guard. If he really does something unusual, we can fight back or even pull him out. Okay, I know. I'll ask my secretary to inform the media to block any news related to Lu Holdings and track down the person who released the news. Okay, I'll contact the people who changed the locks. Lin Mu and also said. He had planned to go back to the police academy tonight, but now it seemed that both mother and daughter were frightened. So, he would go back tomorrow. It was already 11 at night when everything was settled. When Lin Mu and returned to his room, Lu Qianqian had already taken a shower and was lying on the bed. Then, Lin Mu and washed up and hugged Lu Qianqian in his arms. Don't be afraid. I'm here. I know. Lu Qianqian hugged Lin Mu and tightly. But I still feel scared when I think of what happened in the afternoon, especially when I think of third uncle's wound. It's so bloody that my scalp tingles. Lisa will be here when I'm not around. Don't worry. I'm just thinking that I can't even stand such a scene. How did Chi-Chi endure it? What she saw was 100 times more disgusting. We're both girls. I really feel a little cowardly. After hearing this, Lin Mu laughed. Is she an ordinary person? It's a miracle that she could subdue Xing Xiao. I won't be surprised no matter what she does in the future. We are just mortals. We should just enjoy the life of mortals. It's not just you. Even I feel uncomfortable. That's true. Seeing that Lu Qianqian was about to fall asleep, Lin Mu kissed her forehead. I'm going back to the police academy tomorrow. Are you really not going to do anything with me? Ugh. I'm scared. I just want to sleep. All right then, go to sleep. Lin Mu did not force her. But at that moment, Lu Qianqian suddenly turned over and pressed herself on top of him. Lin Mu was shocked. What are you doing? Thinking about it, I'll eat you first, then sleep. During the days when Lin Mu was injured, Lu Qianqian was more proactive because his hands were not convenient. Lin Mu could only reach out and hold Lu Qianqian's waist. It was just that the posture of a woman on top would inevitably make a man feel dissatisfied. It was really uncomfortable when he was not in control of the rhythm. However, Lu Qianqian's blushing face was a different kind of charm. Thinking about it, it was actually not bad. The next morning, Mu Qiqi was praised in the school. At the same time, Gu Xiling accompanied Mama Gu to meet the lawyer for the final evaluation. Should they give it their all or should they apply for bankruptcy? Mama Gu did not blame anyone for what had happened to the Gu family. If she had found out earlier that her husband was under such heavy pressure, she would not have allowed her husband to become so schizophrenic. And her younger brother was now a murderer. If she had not spoiled him when they were young, things would not have turned out this way, and her younger brother's life would not have been ruined. However, Gu Xiling did not think so. Before Mu Qiqi appeared, the Gu family was fine. It had always been fine. This time, it was Mu Qiqi who did not let it go. She wanted to take revenge on the charity banquet. So, Gu Xiling hated her very much. "Mommy, one day, I will make Mu Qiqi lose everything." After hearing that, Mama Gu was a little puzzled. What does this have to do with Mu Qiqi? If she did not work hard in the police station, the Gu family would not have ended up like this. Mama Gu looked at Gu Xiling in shock. Because she did not expect that her daughter would transfer her hatred to Mu Qiqi. No matter what, this matter was not Mu Qiqi's fault. Although she worked hard in the investigation, it was her duty to stand on the other side. "Xiling, Mom, you don't have to worry about me. I am doing well in the Xing family. Now, Kai is willing to believe me. And Grandpa Xing will not dare to do anything to me. He will not dare to chase me out of the Xing family." "Why?" Mama Gu asked. "Because Kai is infertile. If he chases me out, I will definitely not hide this matter for the Xing family. Grandpa Xing cannot afford to lose his face," Gu Xiling said. "Then what about you? It is not a long-term solution to not have children. Don't worry. I will let Grandpa make the decision. Everything will be done according to his wishes." This was Gu Xiling's cleverness. Mama Gu nodded. "You should know your limits. After all, you are Kai's wife. Don't make things irreversible because of this matter. After all, you still need to rely on him for the rest of your life." "I know." However, not only was there the annoying Mu Qiqi outside, but there was also third brother and his wife in the Xing family who always went against her. She had to think of a way to break up the relationship between the couple and make Hu Ran go back to the Hu family. When she went back to the Hu family, Hu Ran's stepmother would teach her a lesson. In the afternoon, in Enchanting University, Mu Qiqi went to the university to apply for leave. Because she was going abroad to register her marriage tomorrow. Although she appeared to be indifferent to Xing Zhao's suggestion, deep in her heart, she was still looking forward to it. "You want to apply for leave again? What for?" Feng Shanshan asked when she saw the approved leave slip. "It's a private matter." Mu Qiqi did not say it clearly. "That's great. After you leave, I will follow up the cases in the forensics laboratory. When the time comes, I will get some commendation." Feng Shanshan said sourly. "You should leave for a few more days." "TSK." Mu Qiqi laughed. "Why are you still saying one thing but what you mean? Are we really not friends? Who wants to be friends with you?" Feng Shanshan snorted. "If you have time, you should still go and have a relationship. You can't ruin your good school life because of a scumbag. There are still many men in this world for you to choose from." Mu Qiqi tried to persuade her. "The professor said that an unmarried man is coming to the police station. Are you not interested at all?" Chapter 534. Mu Qiqi shook her head. She felt that it was too early for Feng Shanshan to say that. She might be slapped in the face when they meet tonight. "Do whatever you want. Just don't tell me that you've fallen in love with her. Let's wait and see." Feng Shanshan was very confident. Mu Qiqi returned home in the evening and saw the Shen family in the living room. She smiled. "Why are you all here?" "We are just going abroad to register." "You don't have to come." "You can't say that." Huang Yu held Mu Qiqi's hand and said, "You are the pearl of the Shen family. Your grandfather and father are proud of you. Even if the marriage certificate is only recognized abroad, you are still going to be eighth brother's wife. How can the family not come to see you off when your daughter is getting married?" "Second aunt, don't be too nice to me." "Qiqi, come here." Shin Jianchuan sat on the sofa and waved at Mu Qiqi. Mu Qiqi walked over and sat beside Shin Jianchuan. What's wrong, Dad? Shin Jianchuan took out a brocade box from behind and placed it on Mu Qiqi's legs. This is the wedding dress I prepared for you. I hope that I can see my daughter get married beautifully. Mu Qiqi opened the brocade box and saw a pure white gown with accessories inside. Whether it's at home or abroad, we will recognize it when you get married. You can marry the person you like. This is my biggest wish. If you can be happy, I will have no regrets in this life. Mu Qiqi put down the gift and hugged Shin Jianchuan. Dad, you must be healthy too. Wait to be a grandpa in the future. Silly child, I prepared the gown, your grandfather prepared the necklace, and your aunt prepared the headwear. Alright, the child will be leaving soon. Let's talk while we eat. Mama Xing finished cooking and went to the living room. Eighth brother will be back soon. Everyone, wash your hands and get ready for dinner. Mu Qiqi thought about it and walked to Grandpa Shen. She said, Grandpa, I hope I didn't embarrass you. Now, everyone knows that the Shen family has a young forensic doctor. I'm proud of it. Why would I feel embarrassed? Grandpa Xing patted Mu Qiqi's shoulder. Just be yourself. I don't care what others say now. Mu Qiqi really couldn't stand the love from her family. Her eyes turned red and she cried. Xing Xiao saw that as soon as he entered the house. So, he walked up to Mu Qiqi and patted her head. What's wrong? Everyone treats me too well, why are you crying when I'm treating you well? Are you born to be abused? Xing Xiao shook his head and led her to the restaurant. We're leaving early. Have a good meal. You'll have to suffer for a long time on the plane. Got it. After dinner, Xing Xiao carried his luggage and pushed Mu Qiqi out of the house. His family stood at the door and hugged them. All of us are waiting for your return. Okay, Mu Qiqi answered Mama Sheng with a smile. Right now, this young couple was the bond that kept the two families together. They were also everyone's concern. Mu Qiqi got into the car with everyone's blessings. She leaned into Xing Xiao's arms. I wonder how they will feel when we get married. Idiot, we're getting married for real now. Alright. She couldn't afford to offend a man in his 30s. They were getting married for real now. You're going to be my husband soon. How do you feel? In the night, Xing Xiao lowered his head and looked at Mu Qiqi. For a long time, he couldn't say a word. Just as Mu Qiqi was about to fall asleep, he slowly said, I feel that I can't wait until 2 years to register with you. I want to enjoy the status of a husband in advance now. But at the same time, I feel that the responsibility has become heavier. Is it different from before? I have a sense of belonging. I feel like I'm really married. Because I have to shoulder the responsibility of taking care of the family, I feel that the responsibility has become heavier. TSK, Mu Qiqi lay on his lap. Why don't I have this sense of belonging? It's because I felt that I was yours from the beginning. I've always been very intuitive. But there's one thing I agree with. I like that you live your life with a sense of ceremony. It makes me feel that I'm fully valued. Sleep for a while. I'll wake you up when we reach the airport. Xing Xiao hugged her, grabbed a thick blanket and put it on Mu Qiqi. No, I want to hug you soberly. Xing Xiao ignored her and asked Su Che to turn on the lights. Then, he took out a document to read. Mu Qiqi lay on his lap instead. She could even be used as a human table for him. Because she was used to this kind of Xing Xiao. She also liked this kind of Xing Xiao. At the same time, in the forensics laboratory, Feng Shanshan was helping the professor with an experiment. The professor glanced at her and smiled. Shanshan, are you still single? Professor, don't tell me you're asking me to see a psychologist like Mu Qiqi did? Everyone in the office is going. Aren't you going? The professor reminded her. I heard that this expert is a real high-quality resource. He's very good at martial arts. Professor, I was actually quite bad in the past. I did a lot of things to trick Muchichi. I was powerful and greedy. So, those noble souls are really not suitable for me. The professor laughed when he heard this. This is the first time I've heard a girl describe herself like this. As the saying goes, a prodigal son who repents is more valuable than gold. As long as you repent now, how can you not be worthy of those noble souls? Don't. I'm afraid. I'm full of secrets. I'm most afraid of being seen through. That's the expert's specialty. The expert won't be bored to see what color your internal organs are. Hearing such a capable and vicious remark, Feng Shanshan and the professor turned around together. They saw a tall and thin man standing at the entrance of the forensics laboratory. He was wearing black casual clothes and a cap, giving off an extremely oppressive feeling. I'm Tang Yen, a new police officer. I'm good at profiling. I'm here to say hello to the forensics team. I didn't mean to eavesdrop. You didn't close the door. Feng Shanshan was stunned. She suddenly wanted to see the face under the cap. What did it look like? Hello. The professor immediately went up to shake his hand. We're just joking. I hope you don't mind. Is this considered a bad guy hiding in the police station? Tang Yen slowly curled his lips with a hint of mockery. Oh no. Feng Shanshan stood stiffly by the pool. She could not control herself at all. Indeed, one should not talk behind people's backs. Chapter 535. Tang Yen smiled nonchalantly. Professor, please take care of me in the future. It's my duty. The professor smiled. Then, Tang Yen crossed his arms, glanced at Feng Shanshan, and left the forensics lab. The professor glanced at Feng Shanshan and could not help but laugh. How is it? I told you. He's handsome, right? Feng Shanshan's face was very red, but it was not because of the man, but because someone had bumped into her from behind. Strictly speaking, it was because of embarrassment. This man is not a gentleman at all. He doesn't even know how to knock. This man should be 185 meters tall. He's tall, handsome, and very strong. Didn't you see his arms? They're all muscles. He's in high demand, Shanshan. He's the type that Muchichi likes. Don't use Muchichi as a shield. She already has the strongest man. Why would she look at another man? You should think about yourself. Feng Shanshan did not say anything. She lowered her head and did her own things. This man must have a very low EQ. He was not the kind of man who would do anything for a woman. Otherwise, he would not have said such embarrassing words. What a poisonous tongue. No matter how strong a man is, he will become soft when he meets the woman he likes. Feng Shanshan was like a turtle hiding in its shell. Late at night, she took a taxi home and saw Tang Yen at the door. To avoid embarrassment, Feng Shanshan hid behind the glass. After a while, she saw Tang Yen riding away on his motorcycle. That was so cool. Of course, Feng Shanshan would not admit that she was attracted to this man. Late at night, at the Lu mansion. When Lu Qianqian returned home, Lin Mu and had already returned to the police academy. Mama Lu saw that she came home very late, so she asked her if anything happened. Lu Qianqian sat down on the sofa and answered her mother, Mu and is right. Uncle really wanted to expose this matter, but the people we arranged to stop him. I have already informed the shareholders meeting to be held tomorrow. It's time to clean up the rubbish. My daughter, you've worked hard. Having said that, Mama Lu took a package from the table. This is for you. I don't know who sent it. Mommy, aren't you afraid that it might be a bomb? It's not as dangerous as you think. Mama Lu smiled. Someone must have sent the cosmetics. Lu Qianqian opened it and saw expensive cosmetics lying inside. She then looked at the note inside. Thank you for last time. What happened last time? Lu Qianqian suddenly understood. I know who sent this. Who? Mu An's aunt. Chi-Chi and I saved her a few days ago, Lu Qianqian replied. I didn't expect her to be a grateful person. Perhaps this is the arrangement of the heavens. It is fated that you should form a good relationship with the Lin clan. After saying that, Mama Lu walked to the dining table. Let's eat. Before Mu An left, he reminded me again and again that you must eat on time. Don't ruin my plans. I know, Mommy. At the moment, the atmosphere in the Xing family was very stiff. Gu Ziling's eyes were red all the time. Maybe it was because she was too upset. Hu Ran and Xing Boan were about to meet the paparazzi in the circle, so they did not have time to care about Gu Ziling. However, when dinner was about to end, Gu Ziling suddenly asked third brother, I heard from the servant that you and sister-in-law always have a quilt on the bed and a quilt on the sofa. Do you two sleep in separate beds? Xing Boan was stunned. Xing Boan was stunned for a moment and shook his head. No. That's good. I thought you two were up to something or sister-in-law was not feeling well. Gu Ziling sounded like a meddlesome sister-in-law. She seemed to be very concerned about third brother and Xing Boan. Second sister-in-law, mind your own business. Hu Ran said coldly. Indeed. The Gu family is going bankrupt soon. I don't think I have the right to take care of you. All right. Your second sister-in-law is just concerned about you. You don't have to fight with me every time, do you? Shen Kai retorted. I know third sister-in-law doesn't like Xiling. But since it's over, you should learn to look forward. Let the past be in the past. Let's eat. Hu Ran rolled her eyes. This couple was really putting on a show every day. And Gu Xiling was just like her father. Yesterday, she was arrogant. Today, she was nice. You could not keep up with her at all. After dinner, the family dispersed. However, Hu Ran stopped Gu Xiling on the way. She asked directly, what tricks are you playing now? I'm not playing any tricks. I just thought you and third brother haven't slept together yet. So, I asked out of concern. Are you that kind? Hu Ran did not believe her nonsense. If that's the case, don't tell me the two of you really haven't slept together. You know what I mean. Hu Ran glared at Gu Xiling. Then, she turned around and left. It's none of your business. Xing Kai and I made a promise to be a contractual couple. But in the end, we did it for real. Now that I think about it, you and third brother probably have the same troubles. After all, you have never been in a relationship. No, who would be interested in you when you were like that? Gu Xiling smiled and left. Hu Ran was left standing in the long hallway. She did not know what to do. She and third brother were not real husband and wife. But this matter must not be known to others. Especially Grandpa. Otherwise, he would think that they were putting on a show to stall for time. After all, third brother's position in the Xing family was really worrisome. It was only because he married her that he regained Grandpa Xing's trust. Because of that, third brother was summoned to old Xing study. Is what your second sister-in-law said true? What is it? Third brother pretended not to understand. What are you two up to about sleeping in the same room but not in the same bed? You are already married. What else do you want? Grandpa, we got married after seeing each other a few times. We don't have any feelings for each other. So, we want to give each other more time. Damn time. Do you want me to urge you on such a thing? Hurry up and give me a child. Don't do this nonsense. Grandpa Sheng was furious. I can't count on your second brother for this. I'm counting on you. You're going to consummate me tonight. How ridiculous. Third brother thought about the old man's words. It sounded a little strange. Why couldn't he count on Xing Kai? Moreover, what era was it now? Why were young people forced to sleep in the same bed? Chapter 536. Then, third brother returned to his room unhappily. When Huran saw him, she knew that he must have been taught a lesson by Grandpa Sheng. I really don't understand. Isn't that woman busy enough? She even cares if we sleep on the same bed. Of course. If Grandpa knows that we are only in name, he will definitely have a lot of ideas. Huran sat on the bed and tidied up the bedding. Then, she said to third brother, from today onwards, you can sleep on the bed. Don't sleep on the sofa anymore. Xiaoran, why don't we have a drink? Huran suggested. In fact, both of them had the same idea. But they did not know how to say it. They also did not know how to do it when they were sober. So, Huran suggested drinking. Third brother nodded and went out. I'll get it. When Huran saw third brother going out, she took out her pajamas from the wardrobe and put them on. In fact, she was already prepared. Although she was not sure about her feelings, she did not plan to change her husband. But if Xing Bowen met a woman he loved in the future, she could leave. After a while, Xing Bowen returned to the room with a glass of red wine in his hand. Seeing Huran in her pajamas, he blushed. Let's drink. Huran did not explain. She just sat beside Xing Bowen. Xing Bowen smelled the fragrance of the red wine and Huran's body. All of a sudden, he felt his heart surging. What's wrong? Xiaoran, you don't have to do this. But I don't regret it. Huran smiled. Let's drink. As they drank, Huran leaned on third brother, which made him even more distracted. It was not that Xing Bowen had never seen Huran wearing skimpy clothes before. It was just that he had never seen her in such a seductive way like today. Xiaoran. I always feel that I am taking advantage of you. Huran could not help but laugh. Why are you so shy and cute? Having said that, Huran raised her head and kissed third brother's lips. But Xing Bowen's body stiffened. Then, he pushed Huran away and hid in the bathroom. After thinking for a while, he called Xing Xiao. Xing Xiao was still at the airport. He was about to board the plane. What's the matter? Eighth brother. What do I need to pay attention to before or during that kind of thing with a girl? Xing Xiao was speechless. So you've been a vegetarian for the past 20 years? I don't believe that you had someone else before Chi-Chi. Xing Xiao choked. This kind of thing is self-taught. There's no need for any teaching. Isn't a girl's first time very painful? You figure it out yourself, idiot. I'm boarding now. Having said that, Xing Xiao hung up without giving Xing Bowen any substantive advice. After being nervous for a while, Xing Bowen returned to the bedroom. However, Huran was already lying on the bed, breathing evenly. But the more she was like that, the more third brother knew that Huran was pretending to be asleep. Xiaoran, if you don't want to, I won't force you. Go to sleep, Huran said calmly. It's not what you think. I'm just nervous, because this is my first time doing something so intimate with a girl. After Huran heard this, she sat up on the bed and couldn't help but laugh. Ha ha ha. Are you serious? I didn't expect you to be so innocent, third brother. I'm very serious about relationships. I don't want to be casual, Xing Bowen explained. So, I didn't push you away on purpose just now. Looking at Xing Bowen's ear, Huran laughed again. I thought you really despised me. How is that possible? As soon as Xing Bowen said that, Huran kissed him. This time, it was not a light kiss. Instead, it was a kiss with some exploration and desire. After a while, Huran let go of him. Since you don't know how to do it, let's explore together. Let's start with kissing. How does it feel? Not bad. Then, Huran boldly took off Xing Bowen's shirt and reached out to touch his chest. Then, How about this? It's a little strange. Hu Ran laughed again. Because she had never seen such an innocent man. Although Sheng Bowen looked like a righteous child, it was unexpected that he was so conservative. It seems that we have to do it step by step. After Hu Ran said that, she helped Sheng Bowen put on his pajamas. Let's sleep. Don't sleep on the sofa tonight. We have to make that woman speechless. Then, the two of them lay on the bed. However, looking at Hu Ran's back, Sheng Bowen felt a little defeated. I should be very embarrassing in this aspect. Hu Ran laughed and then turned around and threw herself into Sheng Bowen's arms. No, I just think it's fun to tease you. As long as you don't feel disappointed. Hu Ran chuckled and closed her eyes. Although many women liked men with superb skills, Hu Ran liked men like Sheng Bowen. He attached great importance to these things. At least, she could be sure that he would not mess around. It would also make her feel unexpectedly at ease. Although the two of them had slept on the same bed several times, it was the first time they hugged each other so tightly. Sheng Bowen even felt a little difficult to breathe. Although in his heart, he had long regarded Hu Ran as his only wife. After a 13-hour flight, Mu Qiqi and Xing Xiao finally arrived at Las Vegas in the United States. Strictly speaking, this was Mu Qiqi's first time in the United States. It wasn't as if there weren't any exchanges in the school, but Mu Tongxue would always snatch the opportunity, and she would always be the one left behind. Come to think of it, it was a little funny that a rich young lady like her rarely had the chance to go abroad. Let's go to the hotel first. We'll go and register tomorrow morning. It was 7:00 in the evening when they arrived in the United States. You've calculated my birthday, haven't you? Mu Qiqi asked, looking up at him. Xing Xiao smiled and did not say anything. He held Mu Qiqi's hand and got into the hotel car. Then, he hugged her. If you're tired, you can continue to sleep. There's still a long way to go before we reach the hotel. If you don't rest well, your eyes will be swollen when we get married. It's too ugly. I don't want you anymore. Mu Qiqi was so excited that she could not sleep. Forget it if you don't want it, little one, your skin is itching again. Mu Qiqi leaned into Xing Xiao's arms. She felt that it was very unreal. Although they were just going to register their marriage abroad, she was going to be married to this man for real. Was the thing that she had dreamed of since she was 17 finally coming true? Thinking of the bitterness when she had a crush on him, Mu Qiqi suddenly chuckled. Chapter 537. You're laughing at me for having a crush on you and not daring to tell anyone. Now we're getting married. You had a crush on me then? I can see through everything. How is it a crush? Xing Xiao exposed her. You look at me as if you want to eat me up every day. Anyone would know that. Mu Qiqi thought about it. It seemed to be the case. She smiled shyly. I'm lucky that you like me too. I'm looking forward to the registration tomorrow. It was 2:00 in the afternoon in Jianchuan. Lu Qianqian informed the directors of the meeting. She did not tell them what the topic of the meeting was. The shareholders thought that something urgent had happened to Lu Holdings. So, they all came to the meeting, including Lu Qianqian's two uncles. Chairman Lu, if there's anything urgent, just say it quickly. The directors could not wait any longer. The main reason for the meeting today is this. Lu Qianqian looked at her youngest uncle with a complicated expression. Then, she continued, I believe all of you already know about my third uncle's injury. He got one of his hands chopped off because he owed a debt. Now, he is receiving treatment in the hospital. This is supposed to be the Lu family's dirty linen. I shouldn't publicize it here. However, because this matter is related to another matter, which involves the interests of Lu Holdings, I have to bring it to the board for discussion today. Chairman Lu, don't keep us guessing. Hurry up and tell us. The directors were anxious. Youngest uncle, I want to know how much you sold the news to the media. Lu Qianqian questioned her uncle directly. The youngest uncle was stunned when Lu Qianqian mentioned him. Then, he shrugged. What does it have to do with me if third brother owes a debt? It has nothing to do with you. I don't care if you don't save him. I just want to ask you, why did you expose the matter of third uncle being chased by someone at home? Lu Qianqian, you need evidence to speak and do things. What do you mean by exposing it to the media? Do you have evidence? The youngest uncle of the Lu family was good at cheating. Do you think I dare to hold a board meeting without evidence? Lu Qianqian took out her phone and found the evidence she got from the reporters. The account that transferred the money is yours, right? The secretary who went to the reporters is yours, right? Also, did you prepare this draft that is going to be leaked? Everyone looked at the evidence in Lu Qianqian's hand. Then, they all looked at the youngest uncle of the Lu family. You're a human on one side and a ghost on the other. Don't you think you're a little too divided? What do you mean by this? What good would it do you to expose third uncle's affairs and damage the Lu family's reputation? If you just want to make things difficult for me, please do it openly. Don't sneakily make people's keys behind my back and put poisonous snakes in my room. Little Uncle Lu's face turned red, but he suddenly realized that he could not win against a little girl in an argument. Chairman Lu is really going to do that? How? How? The shareholders started. Whether he is so wicked or not, you will know once you ask him. So, I want to hold this board meeting today. I think, based on what youngest uncle has done, I propose to kick him out of the board. Shareholders, please make a statement. The shareholders understood Lu Qianqian's intention. It turned out that she wanted to remove the youngest uncle of the Lu family from his position as a director. The youngest Lu stood up immediately. Lu Qianqian, aren't you bored? Do you think you can kick me out of the board just because of this? No way. Lu Qianqian looked at her youngest uncle fiercely. Then, she smiled sarcastically. Just because of this? Do you know how much Lu Holdings' reputation will be affected if this gets out? Do you know how much manpower and resources Lu Holdings will have to spend to calm down the public because of your revenge? You are sacrificing the interests of the shareholders for your own selfishness. If I don't kick you out of the board, how can I explain to the other shareholders? You are too selfish, you are too much. You bully the weak with your uncle's identity. You don't know who developed Lu Holdings. The youngest uncle of the Lu family was even more furious when he heard the comments of the shareholders. Lu Qianqian, you are using your position to get even. Ladies and gentlemen, please vote. I don't want to see this person appear on the board again. Lu Qianqian did not care about the resistance of the youngest uncle of the Lu family at all. She directly initiated the vote. Please note that if you want to keep such a selfish person, I won't object. Anyway, just watch your wallet. You should know that his means of creating risks are top-notch. Then, it was time to vote. Almost 2/3 of the shareholders agreed with Lu Qianqian's proposal. Seeing this result, the youngest uncle of the Lu family directly rushed toward Lu Qianqian. This doesn't count. It doesn't count. You have no right to make me leave. Lu Qianqian raised her head and looked at her youngest uncle. I won't argue with you about letting the snake out. But, from today onwards, if you bully my daughter and my widowed mother again and cause trouble for Lu Holdings, I won't show any mercy to you. Lu Qianqian, I will kill you. Security. Lu Qianqian directly asked the secretary to call the security guards in and drag the youngest uncle of the Lu family out of the meeting room. When everyone saw Lu Qianqian's decisive attitude, they also saw her father's wisdom and decisiveness in her. When faced with a problem, she did not have the timidity of a normal little girl. Instead, she had reason and evidence, and moved forward bravely without fear. With such boldness, the shareholders were also convinced. She was still young now. When she grew older, she would be able to achieve more glory for the Lu family. After today's incident, I hope that you can pay attention to your own safety, in case some people have ill intentions. Thank you for your concern. I have bodyguards, Lu Qianqian replied. She knew that the scumbag would not let it go just like that. But, in order to protect her mother and the Lu family, she had to do some sinister things. The forensics laboratory was unusually quiet in the evening. Feng Shanshan deliberately avoided Tang Yan and entered the forensics laboratory. She wondered if the people in the police station were all so thirsty. With such a man coming, the beautiful police officers went crazy. Professor, this Officer Tang is suitable to be admired. The professor smiled and asked her, why? With that kind of face and body, he doesn't go to beauty pageants or sing. Instead, he becomes a police officer doing psychological profiling. The people in the police station are so fascinated by him that they can't think properly. Feng Shanshan had to admit that she felt a little disdainful when she saw the infatuated young police officers. Have they never seen a handsome man before? After hearing what she said, the professor smiled even more happily. Do you have such a big opinion of Officer Tang? Feng Shanshan rolled her eyes. When she was about to answer, a tall figure walked out from the laboratory. And his expression was serious. You seem to dislike me. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.